Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. I'm your host, Mark, and on this episode, we're talking about Khorne's Cult of Rage. And on this episode, we got Court joining us. Welcome.
Hey, good to be here. I'm excited to talk about the rage. I have a lot of anger inside me, so we'll see if this episode helps.
Yeah, what's one thing that's currently making you angry, either in your personal life, 40K related?
As soon as you said it, I knew the right answer. Printers. I fucking hate printers. Oh my gosh, I just want to office space every single printer I ever see. Like PC load letter. What the fuck does that mean? Why does it say paper gem when there is no paper gem? Oh. Anyways. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that's what's making you tick. We also got back by popular demand. Fuzz, hey.
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
What's making you unreasonably angry today for this episode?
You know, I honestly don't get angry very much or very often. I'm known for being a calm person, but that just means I have extra room to pack in the rage for this episode.
You're storing it up. You're accumulating mass, as they say, and then you're going to cultivate it into violence.
That's right.
No, I also like, honestly, I love my children, but the thing that frustrates me the most sometimes is my kids or my dog. Just
well, I don't want to yell rage because of children, so I'll withhold that. But the blood god might have different plans for your children. But hey, this is Lorehammer. We're a 40K podcast. Let's do some quick housekeeping before we get into this episode. I guess first up, we have a Discord. What's fun about our Discord is they come up with fun ideas like putting Court and Fuzz together. You know, this was a popular demanded episode, and they were talking, do we call this the Fuzzy Court Hammer episode, or do we call it Court's Fuzzy Hammer? So, people in the chat can get back to us on which one of these combos you like so we know how to stack them on the live stream.
Yeah. I think we'll decide at the end of this what it feels like, if it's more of a fuzzy Court hammer or if it's Court's fuzzy hammer, or if it's just if it's a weird blend between the two. We're going to find out. So
one of those times will tell type situation.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then with Patreon, guys, if you're not on it, join the Imperial Tithe, please. If you love what we do here, you like what's going on, you want to support the show, join the Imperial Tithe. For $2.50 a month, you get the ad-free version. No ads. You don't have to hit the little 30-second skip thing on your phone on your drive to work, boop, 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 4 times or so. It's like muscle memory for me now when I listen. Don't have to do it. And you don't have to random interruption in the middle of Mark talking about Skitarii or anything like that.
I recently went through the whole catalog, back episodes and everything, and found the proper placement for all the ads. Took me days and days, but I did it for the people. I just got plugged into that machine and got after it.
That's right, for the people. Yeah. And if you like the people on this show, $2.50 a month, that's it, ad-free version. And then the video version, which you are witnessing now, is $5 a month. But Fuzz is going to tell you a little bit more about that.
Yep. So with $5 a month, you can join us on the live stream. You do it through Patreon. You get access to seeing all of our wonderful, lovely faces on the stream. There's a live chat room that goes on during the show. It is a lot of fun. You can throw out questions, talk to some fellow Lorehammer fans. Just all sorts of degeneracy goes on in there. It gets wild sometimes, but it's honestly sometimes great deep conversations. It's a good time. You should definitely join in that. And then at the end of the show, when we have time, we'll usually do a call-in guest or two. If you're a fan of the show, throw your name in the hat, see if you can get on, give us your thoughts about the episode.
I missed the live call-in last time, Court, because we did the trivia night, which was a lot of fun. But before I bounced out, I did scroll back through it and see what everyone was talking about. And yeah, it was pretty funny, some of the stuff they were talking about.
Dude, the chat was wild. It was going crazy. Yeah. So for those of you guys who missed it, last week we had a fun and Fuzz had dubbed it Adeptus Triviaris, and I think that's just phenomenal. So I got to host a special bonus episode, and the chat was a big part of it. So it got wild. It was good.
I am the lore master. We did determine that, so that's nice. I paid off the right people to make it happen, so it's good to know those Lorehammer Patreon bucks are going to work, putting me as lore master.
Yeah, you were not usurped that day, so your title lives on until the next one.
Heck yes. Well, on to today's episode, the Cult of Rage. Don't worry, I'm not gonna scream rage at you every time I say it, because let's do a quick word search. In this document, we only
Oh
say
my
it
gosh.
8 times, so that's not too unreasonable.
Eh, seems good.
Not rage-inducing, I would say.
No, it's not like
Hey.
Billy Corgan. You know what I mean?
No.
It's a little Smashing Pumpkins joke for everybody, if you understand Bullet with Butterfly Wings. There we go.
Oh, Court. Who do I know? I just always think, who do I know that can match you up with that would get these references? Oh man,
Hey, Cord is always on point with the music references.
That's
any-
right. That's right.
Always.
this is where the Discord comes in. If you're a music buff, somebody needs to know what Court's talking about. You know, sure,
I'm
I
just
can
get-
talk to him about teeth, but when it comes to music, I don't know enough.
I'm just going to throw out little tidbits in there, and I'm not going to say anything, but I'm just going to look right into the camera like this and see if they know.
It's sexual. It went sexual.
Hand check, gentlemen. Okay. All right.
Okay, good. Carry on.
Good.
Carry on, boys. So today's episode, we're going to do a quick little refresher on Khorne. We won't linger too long. Then we'll dive right into the Cult of Rage. The worship of Khorne looks pretty different than worshiping most other deities. The gifts of Khorne, including demonhood, Khornate corruption. I've already kind of got to learn about what makes you two unreasonably angry, so we'll learn about what makes the galaxy unreasonably angry. Was your world blown up and devoured by some type of star god, and now you have a grudge to bear? Maybe Khorne's the guy for you.
You may be entitled to some compensation.
You might be entitled to some skull compensation, or at the very least, a little blood. And then we're going to get into the actual notable forces, and this is where it's going to get fun. We're going to talk about World Eaters a little bit, but not too much. They get their own episode. But we're going to be talking about Blood Blessed, Blood Gored, Brazen Beast, Eight Scarred, Gore Stalkers, Harvest, Wrath, just a bunch of cool fucking Chaos Space Marine name for warbands. Harvest. Sounds nice. Till you know it's your skull.
Yeah. There's no shortage of well, maybe there is shortage of creativity, but you just get to take fun, gross words that are violent and throw them with something else. You
Yeah,
can do
like for
anything
the
like that.
renegades and cults, you do the Blood Gores, Blood Pack,
Mhm.
Blood Cults, Cadian 666, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
The Kith and the Goremongers. So, I think that is a good, you have 8 words on a graph, and it's like
Mhm.
blood, gore, violence, rage, and you can kind of just match them up like
They all sound like Swedish black metal bands. It's great.
Yes.
Then we'll jump to the Night Houses, the Titan Legions. We got 2 of them in there. The specific Xenos I found that follows Khorne is pretty cool for this episode. Unlike the Nurgle one, where we, hypothetical theorized or whatever about Hrud being Nurgle tied. This one actually is definitely Khorne worship. So excited to talk about that. And then some notable servants of Khorne, such as Doombreed Karn and Roguegrassed Bloodhand. But they'll probably get their own episodes too at some point. So let's start and learn a little bit about Khorne.
Cool. Let's jump right in. So some of you guys may be asking, like, what is Khorne's Cult of Rage and how do I join? So Khorne, the blood god, as we all know, is the chaos god of war, bloodshed, and rage. He thrives on violence and the slaughter of his enemies, fueling his power with the blood spilled in his name. His followers, from the savage world eaters to berserk cults, seek constant battle, driven by an insatiable thirst for blood and the promise of glory in the heat of combat. Khorne's realm within the warp is a brutal and fiery forge where he crafts instruments of death and punishment, demanding that all show their worth through blood and fury.
And his cult of rage. Khorne is the blood god, a deity of rage and violence, whose power is rooted in unrelenting bloodshed. Residing in the realm of chaos, Khorne sits upon a throne of skulls amidst a wasteland of bones and blood, the remains of his fallen followers and enemies alike. His nature is pure brutality, seeking endless slaughter for its own sake, and he despises magic, particularly the sorcery of Tzeentch. His followers are ruthless warriors driven by a need to conquer and kill. They seek to prove their strength through direct, brutal combat, rejecting any form of trickery or sorcery. Khorne's cultists, often berserkers, worship him not in temples, but on the battlefield chanting, "Blood for the blood god," and "Skulls for the skull throne." They offer their god fresh blood and skulls in exchange for his favor, gaining mutations like enhanced strength or beastly forms as marks of his blessings. Khorne's worship is widespread, particularly among primal human tribes on feral worlds, where the lust for battle and power draws them to his cause. The World Eaters Legion, dedicated entirely to Khorne, embodies this relentless pursuit of destruction and bloodshed, making them his most fearsome servants.
Yes, I love the Cult of Rage. I love just like, one of the base things of the galaxy is violence. Power makes right, might makes right. Everything can ultimately come down to who is the strongest. 4 + 4 = 8, or am I stronger than you and I can convince you through muscles? It's 9. The Cult of Rage, everyone can follow it. Doesn't matter who you are. It could start small. You just start smashing your remote control on your Xbox when you lose some type of racing game. It starts small like that, and then eventually you're hitting your girlfriend, which I don't recommend. That's just the Cult of Rage, because it takes all of you eventually. You know what? I'm going to mark that down. We'll edit that part out. But for the live stream, you guys can enjoy that dark joke. For everyone else, I'm writing that down. But the Cult of Rage, you can pretty much just go wild. You start small, smashing things, and then it gets violent.
It's in the title, and I like how inclusive Khorne is. Are you angry? Come join me.
Yeah.
What's pissing you off today?
Yeah.
Like those rage rooms are like recruitment centers for a cult of Khorne.
Dude, I was just thinking that, like, somewhere hidden, like in the back, like our office, like where there's like a break room, there's just like the symbol of Khorne and blood. Like, did we get enough signups today? Let's look on the board. Is there enough blood? Yes. Khorne be praised.
Yeah. That like fundraiser chart that everyone has where you color up, but it's actually just filling up with blood.
Yeah, it's not the little temperature gauge. It's just like blood.
When we get enough blood in the vial, we get to go to a demon world.
Yay.
Nice. Yeah, what's fun too about Khorne is it's very easy. Like we said, it's for everyone. Even the worship, it's just so straightforward. All you have to really do is devote your life to him through bloodshed, rather than rituals and temples. Worship involving battle, where only victory or struggle in combat serves as their offering. To pass a day without bloodshed is to incur Khorne's wrath. Their battle cry, blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne, strikes fear into all. Now, that would be a tough part, though, about being a part of the Cult of Rage. Every day you have to spill a little blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's motivating.
Sorry.
It's motivating.
It's good to have goals, small incremental goals.
Yeah.
Today I'll just do a little bit of bloodletting.
Yeah. How am I feeling? It's Tuesday. Just a little. Just a little.
Monday was a heavy flow. We'll go easy today.
Right? I had a massive slaughter last week, and I'm just going to take Monday off and only kill one person.
Yeah. It's like working out. I joined a gym finally, and I did a strength class last night, and I'm sore as hell. And so I'm not working out today. But tomorrow, I'm getting back on it.
Except in this case, leg day is ripping somebody's legs off.
That's true. It's not your legs. You're ripping some. Yeah. It's wild. But with this worship and with this remembrance and honor of violence comes fun gifts. So the gifts of Khorne are thus: Banner of Rage. This banner channels the fury of Khorne's most bloodthirsty followers, inflaming those nearby with an insatiable hunger for violence. Then there's also the Berserker Glaive, a deadly weapon housing the tortured soul of a bloodthirster. It protects its bearer but can cause chaos by striking the wrong target. Blessing of the Blood God. This divine boon grants Khorne immunity to psychic attacks, making him an unstoppable force of destruction. Khorne the Betrayer, one of our favorite characters, just a rad dude all around. Super nice guy, loves to party.
Loves to party.
Loves to party.
These other gifts that Santa Khorne gives out, the Collars of Khorne, spiked collars etched with Khorne sigils. They protect the wearer from psychic influence by controlling the warp around them. Demon Weapon, a weapon possessed by a bloodletter imbued with Khorne's fury, known as blood feeders, that thirsts for bloodshed. Axe of Khorne, a weapon powered by Khorne's bloodlust. It drives the bearer to unimaginable feats of slaughter.
I love weapons that just whisper you to just go kill more things. And you're like, I know I shouldn't be listening to this sword, but it makes some good points.
Right? He's like, hey, go stab that guy. He cut you off. Go fucking kill him.
Okay, swordy, pokey McPokey.
Does that mean my car is just the one talking to me when it's like, yeah, like you said, Fuzz, like that guy cut you off. He should probably know. Maybe you should go give him a little beep beep. Yeah. Yeah.
All of a sudden you're road raging, giving people the finger.
I've been known. I maybe post in Discord. I had I was a very angry young goth. And I on the back of my Jeep Cherokee, which was just covered in like industrial goth stickers. I had bats flying off the side. But on the back, I put on the back window in white sticky letters that you would use for like a yard sale. I put the Nine Inch Nails quote from the song Burn. I'm gonna burn this whole world down. And it was on the back of my windshield, like back of my window on the back.
Perfect.
And I have a picture of me at like probably like 18, 19, like sleeveless black shirt and like just standing with my Jeep, and it just says, I'm gonna burn this whole world down. And that's I feel like that was a little tribute to Khorne. Like Khorne was like, look, you're not killing anybody, but I see you driving.
I see you. You've cut people off before.
I know this is a weird tangent, but I had 2 times where people left notes on my car, and not in a way of like, dude, that's really messed up. Like, how dare you? Because really, I was just angry, and I was like, didn't like the world, and I wasn't gonna do anything. But I loved Nine Inch Nails. I loved Nine Inch Nails.
I swear, I wasn't gonna do anything.
But I had 2 people. One guy was like, "That's hilarious, love it, da 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 da. That's cool." Another guy left me a note, and I did. By the way, yes, the Looper Call TV says I feel like Khorne has MySpace. I did not have a MySpace. At my musical project did at the time, which I may post in Discord. We'll see. But
the more I learn about you, the more I love. For sure.
This dude left me a note, and it was folded up and whatnot. And he's like, "Good sir," I still have the note. "Good sir, like I loved your message on the back of your car. Please contact me. I may have some ideas." I was like, "Nope, we're not talking to this guy."
Nope.
Right, like we can plan some things together. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, do I just hand this over to the authorities now or later?
Yeah.
Anyway,
so funny. Other gifts of Khorne include the demonic name, which we've talked about and had some theories about. Interesting to think what you guys hear what you guys think. A momentary recognition from Khorne, bestowing the bearer's true name as a mark of blood-soaked devotion. So yeah, Khorne kind of gives you this little demon name that kind of grants you a little bit of power. Brands you with like the glyph of like demonic glyph of strength or something, you know?
Yeah.
This would be different than like full Demon Prince, I'd imagine, hey?
Yeah, this would be like kind of like a baby step, maybe. Like, hey, you're cool enough that I'm going to give you, like I said, this like demonic nickname, you know, not like a full, maybe like a full demon name, but just something that you could use to like invoke a little bit of Khorne's power.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
nice little nickname.
Well, like you said, Fuzz, maybe it's kind of a way of like, it is a form of recognition. So maybe it's like you're marked for possible, like, it's like you don't get a bonus yet and you're not getting a raise now, but I see you and we'll track your progress. Let's check back in 60 days.
Like, here's your star.
Yeah.
That sucks. Okay. Yeah, that's almost like being on a pip plan or something. I'm watching you.
I was thinking the PIP also, yeah.
Yeah. Either you're destined for greatness or damned to spawndom, but we'll find out, little one. We will. You could also be given the face of Khorne. The gifted face becomes a reflection of endless violence, with glowing eyes and nostrils that spew the smoke of countless funeral pyres. and a flesh-fused weapon. Khorne empowers the bearer's weapon to merge it and their very flesh. Merging it with their very flesh to become increasing. I can't read tonight, but basically it's a flesh-fused weapon. We know what that is, which is pretty cool. This is kind of different than that obliterator virus too. This is almost like a one-off gift.
I was just going to ask if there was any relation between the two.
Maybe
it's different because you're not mutating into different weapons. It's one singular weapon that your flesh has melted into, basically.
Yeah, and like, can you still like withdraw it into your body in the same way, and then like, or is it just literally fused to your arm? And now you got a sword sticking out, kind of.
Yeah.
I'd always imagine like fused where like the muscles and skin are growing like over the handle of the weapon or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of hands, you also have the Hand of Khorne. One hand swells to immense size, its nails becoming iron hard, made to slaughter and fulfill Khorne's will, just like Dave Grohl's hand in the music video for Everlong. Juggernauts. Demonic steeds of living metal. These fiery creatures serve Khorne's favored champions, embodying the fury of battle. We touched upon them in a previous episode. They look rad. They are rad. I think that would be one of the cooler gifts to get because it feels like a step up for sure.
Yeah. This like trampling bull rhinoceros made of living metal and demon.
Yeah, like you're worthy of this. You have earned this. This is going to be given to you. So,
what's fun about that though? Like, okay, so Khorne gives you this, but then it's like, but you still actually have to tame this. Like, and then this thing tries to fucking kill you, so you actually gotta like break it almost.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's a gift that keeps giving in violence.
Yeah, there was one thing that I read too, like one of Khorne's weapons, it might have been like the blood feeders, but like the energy that drains goes to fuel these juggernauts, like as you're seeing. So I wonder if it like almost given in pairs. If it was what I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We have they're
powered by blood.
Yeah, everything in here is gonna be powered by blood.
I mean, that's fair enough.
It's like it's the unobtainium of the world. We have the Khornate Chain Axe, a deadly, jagged weapon that slices through any material, delivering unstoppable destruction. Pretty straightforward.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself there. And we've got the Praise of Khorne. This battle-hardened blessing increases the wearer's resilience, helping their armor deflect incoming blows. And as soon as I read this, I was like, oh, I didn't know that Khorne cultists had a praise king. Who's a good little cultist? Who's my good cultist? Purity of aggression. I feel like this is all about the purity of aggression. The bearer is consumed by Khorne's singular will to destroy, casting aside all emotions but the thirst for bloodshed. The Rage of Khorne. This ability fills the bearer with a rampaging fury, growing stronger until it erupts in their first combat encounter. Okay, so this is almost like like you're just getting into the cult, and like this is that rage that he gives you that's building and building until you go into your first battle as a cultist, and then it just gets unleashed.
Many Khorne philosophers have argued for decades over what is more damaging, a rampage or a bloodshed. Which emotion do we want to latch onto as Khorne followers? But ultimately, fuck it. They both end up murdering each other in that room, and the scene then goes to a door where blood just flows from out underneath the bottom of it.
Nice.
Yeah. So, who's to say?
Right. And then last is the Talisman of Burning Blood. This talisman lets the wearer control their rage longer or intensify it, pushing themselves and those around them to greater bloodlust.
Cool. Yeah, I like it. And the best gift of Khorne of all of them. Those were just some. You could have many different gifts of Khorne. This is one of those spots where you could get really fun and unique for your named character. Does he have, I don't know, some super unique bone graft that allows him to wield a sword more efficiently, or whatever you want, man? Get crazy with it. It's demon warp energy. You can do what you want. I won't stop you. But yeah, like I said, the demonhood, let's talk about that. To ascend to demonhood in the service of Khorne is to become the living embodiment of war. It is not granted through clever schemes or whispered devotion, but through ceaseless slaughter. Only the blood-soaked and wrath-consumed are worthy of such brutal apotheosis. Those who rise do so amid screams and gore, their mortal forms reforged in the fire of battle. Flesh becomes steel, rage becomes law, and mercy is stripped away. A demon of Khorne is not a symbol of divinity. It is a weapon. It lives only to kill, to conquer, to drown worlds in red. To serve Khorne is to burn forever in the furnace of war and call it glory.
That was beautiful, Mark.
Died.
That was beautiful.
Oh, I just picture like gladiators and just turning some of them into demon princes and stuff, and fighting in front of Khorne for all eternity. That's a good outcome in 40K.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
Could be worse.
It's yeah, if that's when you can say it could be worse fighting in front of Khorne for all eternity, it can get bad.
Yeah. So then we've got the corruption of Khorne, or Khornate corruption. So Khorne's worship draws warriors and those who seek power to overcome weakness, offering them strength, vitality, and unmatched skill in combat. Sounds pretty good. However, as followers grow more devoted, they are consumed by an uncontrollable bloodlust and rage, their need to kill intensifying with each life taken. I think we definitely see that with Khorne the Betrayer. The more a Khornate embraces this fury, the more they transform into berserkers, driven by an insatiable thirst for violence. They prefer close combat, using melee weapons like axes, as they find firearms dishonorable and weak. Khorne's followers despise psychic powers, viewing them as cowardly. Khornate tactics are simple. Overwhelm enemies with sheer aggression, relying on their ferocities to survive long enough to slaughter. Ultimately, they care only for spilling blood, willing to sacrifice themselves to feed Khorne's endless hunger for murder and chaos. That brings up an interesting point. We talk about like, oh, not today. I'm not feeling a little, violent. Maybe I'll spill
I'm not
later.
feeling murdery today.
But like at some point, these folks that just are initiates of Khorne, and they're like becoming more and more unsatisfied with kills and stuff. At some point, if they're probably just say like abandoned on some world, and they've killed the rest of their company that they were with, and there's nothing else to kill, they're probably just gonna off themselves, because it's blood. It's violence. Like if there is nothing else, that's your final worship to Khorne, I guess. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's like any addiction for them. It just the next kill just has to be bigger and better and bloodier, or it just isn't going to give you that same high.
Yeah. You start small by just cutting your palm a couple times, and then you maybe do something more delicate, and then you move on to other things. And that blood price just keeps stacking taller.
And they don't go after it the way like Emperor's Children do, that we've discussed, like with the perfection, like the perfect kill, and like the dance and ballet of war tactics. It's just how intense and brutal can it be?
Yeah. And like with I knew that they didn't like sorcery, obviously, but I did not realize that they had any sort of disdain for firearms. Like I would imagine they wouldn't be like fans of like long range tactics like sniper rifles and stuff and missiles, but I could see a Khorne berserker also enjoying a good like up close shotgun blast to somebody's face, but I guess not.
Yeah. Or just like a heavy bolter, and he's just like maniacally laughing with that chain fed heavy bolter. Heck yeah.
Just
you're telling me that wouldn't make Khorne happy?
Right.
Get out of town.
If I can get probably way too weird and into it, there's a sense of here we go. There's a sense of you're not feeling that. Like it's brutal, and like I've got, I'm weirdly thinking of Ash from Evil Dead when you brought that up, Fuzz. Like when he like throws the shotgun behind him and shoots the deadite
Yep.
behind him, and he's like, because he like feels it. But the difference is there's no struggle, and so it talks about strength overcoming weakness, brutality, and there's no physical act of you have overpowered something, you have overcome it, you are the champion, you have physically dominated this. So with firearms in this sense, with Khorne and Khornate tactics, yeah, it's probably some brutality, like you're mowing down a bunch of guardsmen with like a heavy bolter. That's cool, but you're not physically feeling that death versus like taking a guardsman's head and just with your hand of corn ripping it off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That makes it like
Peeling
you
it like an orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, feeling the resistance of your enemy's body as your blade pierces through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could imagine there being some odd like sniper duels that could be pretty intense. What was that one like Stalingrad sniper movie that was maybe around the 2000s, but behind enemy lines maybe? No.
I know which one. I remember that being a thing. Yeah, having like the World War II sniper movie.
Yeah, where that could be pretty coordinate, where it goes into like that skill. There's also like a hunting aspect to it almost. And if the hunter's hunting you back, even better. But yeah, those Khorne philosophers are locked back up in that room and they're arguing again. And ultimately it comes down to the blood rolls out from the door.
Right. So yeah, Khorne philosophy is going to involve a lot of punches to the face, I imagine.
Yeah,
it's the difference between an MP3 and vinyl, and that's Grimaldus knows. I know he's on here, and he's a fellow vinyl collector. But that's the thing. It's like, yeah, it sounds all right, it's good, but that's the shit. Analog kill, like Tabletop Simulator. That's fun. I get to play it. That's cool. Pushing minis across the table. It's different.
Read this comment there, Court. I think you'd have a good voice for it.
Let's see. You think the Halo announcer is playing in your head as you go on a kill streak. Kill him, enjoy. Yeah. Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Brutality.
Yeah. Do you think Khorne loved Mortal Kombat when it came out?
I absolutely, yes. I'm so mad. Just Khorne had his own Mortal Kombat cabinet in his demon realm. Just playing.
He was like, I can't believe they let like children play this video game. Praise Khorne, myself.
Yeah.
Dude, we had one at my synagogue, weirdly enough.
No way.
I shit you not. Like, I can't remember. It was like one of the back rooms for like the older, like older kids, that would go and do like Torah study and stuff and whatever. But yeah, in this like the back teenage room, they had a Mortal Kombat machine, and we found it one day. And so like before Hebrew school, we'd let's go back there and play Mortal Kombat.
You like practice like depossessing this video game, like take a turn. Nice. Very fun. Yeah, church can be interesting. You can come up with some fun little things to do with people there.
It's wild.
Mortal Kombat, I guess.
Yeah.
One unique thing about.
There you go. Go, Mark.
I'm moving forward if nothing else.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
One other. Wow, we did it again. Your turn, Corey boy. Let's go.
So, speaking of things that happen during worship and will happen to you is spawndom. So, chaos spawn of Khorne.
That's money transition right there.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Giving the people what they want.
That's right.
So, the chaos spawn of Khorne are the wretched echoes of warriors who sought endless battles but lost themselves to the god's purest wrath. Once champions of slaughter, they were consumed by uncontrollable fury, transformed not through decay, but through rage unbound. Their bodies twist in brutal, mindless engines of destruction, no longer capable of thought, only violence. These spawn are not failed schemers or weaklings. They are those who gave too much, who shed too much blood until even Khorne turned from them. Yet still they kill, still they fight, their broken forms tearing through flesh with primal fury. They are the cursed relics of the cult of rage, forgotten by their god, but never free of the bloodlust that damned them.
I got the perfect example of the type of person Khorne would turn into a spawn. So I guess you can lose 14% of your blood each day before, you lose that 15, then you better see a doctor. So the spondum of this guy is he's that guy who's drained 14% of his blood every day. And yeah, it's dedication, but also it's pretty fucking lazy. And Khorne doesn't like that. There's no real sacrifice at the end of it. You're just regrowing your own blood. That's not the sacrifice he's looking for. Spondum.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking like, someone who is so far into the cult and they're just killing so much that, like, I don't know, their heart's not in it anymore. Like, it's just kind of become routine to them. There's no, like, they're not doing it because they're angry anymore. They're not doing it because of rage. They're doing it because it's what they do.
No, I think you're right, and I'm just looking on the Warhammer wiki, and because I'm curious, like how much there's too much. Like Khorne has a blood flow limit. Like, ooh, this is a little much for this month. You know what? Chaos spawn, boom,
Boom.
But it kind of clears it up here. It's talking about these beings that are turned into chaos spawn may lack the inherent qualities required for successful leadership of other Khorne, of other chaos servants, and thus they have no further use to their patrons. So kind of like you said, Fuzz, like it's to the point where it's either mundane or it's so infrequent and chaotic that there is no leadership, there's no promise of something greater. It's just like, what do you do with it? You just make it a chaos spawn.
Yeah.
Or it says also they've maybe accumulated too many mutations. So maybe there's again no distinct direction, and that they've just had way too many mutations to even have a sense of kind of their purpose. So they're lost that way.
That's so funny.
Like,
yeah. So
like
you get
hands for axes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck. Now I can't operate I was a tank pilot. Now I can't even drive. Jeez. I just got axe hand. Yeah. Spawned them. What a way to go. So let's get into the big meat of this episode, the actual forces of the Cult of Rage. We got some named forces. Like all other Chaos Gods, Khorne's bloody call echoes across the stars, drawing warriors of all kinds into his Cult of Rage. Souls who offer themselves not for power, but for the glory of slaughter and the purity of battle. Where Chinch weaves schemes and manipulations, Khorne's faithful tear themselves apart with brute force and unrelenting fury. They care nothing for ambition or control, only for the next kill. The Cult of Rage spreads not by whispers, but by war cries and rivers of blood. All who embrace Khorne know one truth. In the end, only violence endures, and only blood pleases the god of war.
Boom. And then we have maybe the most obvious would be the Chaos Space Marines. So Chaos Space Marines who fall to Khorne are not drawn by ambition or cunning, but by rage unchained and the purity of violence. They do not seek to rule or reshape, they seek only to kill. These warriors reject subtlety and strategy, offering themselves wholly to the blood god through endless war and slaughter. Their armor is scorched and spiked, their bodies reforged by fury, and their minds consumed by the roar of battle. They charge without hesitation, reveling in close combat, where every kill is a prayer and every skull a sacred tribute. To serve Khorne is to live for war alone, merciless, relentless, and forever drenched in blood. Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if there's a police lineup of Chaos Space Marines and you had to pick out which one was the bad guy. There's Chinch in his Thousand Suns armor over there. He's just standing perfectly dust still. You got Slanish where he's just like twiddling his nipples. You're like, it's weird and maybe it's a little chaotic, but maybe it's not evil. Look. He's just weird. But then, you look at, a Khorne worshiper, and he's like got skulls on him. There's crusted blood on him. He's wearing entrails as a necklace, and you're just like, he's bad. He's bad.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Just stereotypical, just evil.
And they're all standing 10 feet away from the Nurgle one because he smells.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
The the Khorne ones are all like drenched in blood, but that guy stinks.
That guy. Oh man, to be an Adeptus Arbites.
Yeah. To have to deal with all that.
Yeah.
So the next, so with that is the World Eaters. We're just going to briefly talk about them because they'll be getting their own episode. The World Eaters, once known as the Warhounds, were the 12th Legion of Space Marines that were led by the Primarch Angron, also called the Lord of the Red Sands, known for their brutal combat prowess, enhanced by the Butcher's Nail psychosurgical implants. They were among the first to betray the Emperor during the Horus Heresy. Over time, the Legion fell into bloodthirsty madness, dedicating themselves entirely to Khorne, the chaos god of rage, reveling in slaughter and violence. After the Battle of Scalathrax, the World Eaters fragmented into warbands, rarely uniting since. Alongside the Space Wolves, their warriors are some of the most lethal, close combatants in the galaxy, with the infamous Khorne Berserkers among their ranks.
Yeah, World Eaters. Kind of one of those legions damned from the beginning, fated for Khorne ultimately, without even Khorne really having to do much.
Yeah. It was just in well, I'm saying their nature, but especially when with Angron and doing the surgery to them, there wasn't many other places for them to go.
Yeah. But yeah, they will get their own episode. So their Legion number was 12. So we're a ways away from that. We just finished up the Space Wolves, but we'll get there when we get there. The World Eaters are definitely cool. I've always kind of liked them. They're just one of those concepts that's so easy to latch onto. Like, it's easy to flip a gaming table every now and again. Punch a homie in the face. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't want to say they're uncomplicated, but they it's an easy, like I said, it's easy to latch onto. It's easy to understand what they're about. It's a pretty cool aesthetic. Yeah.
They got another great war call too that we haven't heard yet, and that's burn, maim, kill, which that's always fun. You don't have to do it in that order. It's not mandatory, but
whatever you feel.
You have to yell it. You just can't say it.
You do have to yell.
You can't just be like, burn, maim, kill.
Whatever.
No.
That's how you get spawned them. You just grew complacent in your rampage.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah. World Eaters were one of the first models that I ever saw too. I remember back in, again, like 3rd edition, my buddy Grant he was buying World Eaters and he was doing, I think he was painting the old Khorne the Betrayer model, but there was like the Khorne Berserkers, which if you look at like the 3rd edition poses, they're hilarious. They're like running in this like Michael Scott, Steve Austin, $6 million man, like they're literally looking like that. It's so
their
bad.
Arm joints, they don't have any like of that venting or whatever, so they're all so flat.
And their knees are just like one leg is like kind of straight and the other one's like at a 90. It's so bad. But I just remember being like, oh, these look so cool. Like it's blood helmets, red and like golden color. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. So as we kind of mentioned, the World Eaters, they scatter down into a bunch of different warbands on Lexicanum Wikipedia. I'm sure you can find a bunch of the different warbands. We'll go to like other Chaos Space Marines that fell to Khorne though, and maybe come back to World Eater specifically and their warbands later, another episode. But one of the other ones is the Blood Blessed. The Blood Blessed are a brutal and twisted warband dedicated to Khorne in the most perverse ways possible. Unlike other Khorne worshippers, the Blood Blessed revere Chaos Spawn not as abominations, but as the true form that Khorne desires for all mortals. These horrific mutated beasts are gathered in monstrous hordes driven by the Blood Blessed to wreak havoc and slaughter on the battlefield. The Warband's champions are unlike any other. They do not aspire to ascend to demonhood, but instead seek to embrace their transformation into Chaos Spawn, seeing such a fate not as punishment, but as the ultimate honor. To be the Blood Blessed, the transformation into the Spawndom is not a curse to be feared, but a pinnacle of their devotion to Khorne. It is a savage and violent path marked by unspeakable acts of bloodshed, where the line between man and beast becomes ever more blurred. The warband reveals in horrific mutations and unspeakable violence, or revels in horrific mutations and unspeakable violence of their ranks. Their grotesque spawn charging into battle alongside the mortal kin in a frenzied, blood-drenched fury. With every kill, the blood-blessed draw closer to their twisted goal of becoming one with the chaos they worship. Their bodies warped and torn as they embrace the violent and unrelenting power of Khorne's dark will. That's a fun take on chaos. It's kind of that combination of Khorne and maybe a little bit of the Chaos Unbound concept, where it's like the power of the warp is worthy of worship in and of itself, and the power that the warp itself can bring you.
Yeah. Go for it, Fuzz.
When I was reading this, I just absolutely loved this idea for these guys. Just the idea of this form, and it's weird, like the almost lowest form of like non-human Khorne, fighty thing, but like they just see this as like the most purest form of what they believe in that they can achieve. And yeah, I really like that. Like it's weird like saying it's pure is weird, but it's true.
Well, we'll find out. Let's lock up 2 more Khorne philosophers and see what they come up with.
It'd be a really cool warband to see on the tabletop too, just to have a bunch of the chaos spawn little noodly monsters run around, which I think they really only have like 2 sculpts for. So you'd have to like.
I was looking earlier and could not find much.
Yeah, I think it's 1 kit, and it's actually like an Age of Sigmar box, because like all the demon stuff I think comes.
That's what I saw too. Yeah.
But it's like two noodle monsters in the box. But like, man, it would be really cool for converting and kit bashing. Just like
I was about to say,
yeah. And they had
extra.
Go ahead.
No, I said take every extra arm you have that's got a melee weapon and slap it on something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Orc arms don't matter. Slap them on there.
Yeah, put it on there. How much glue can you use? Let's find out. I remember I haven't played my buddy's Khorne stuff in a while, but when we were playing Age of Sigmar, he had like a Khornate something or whatnot, but he had like a sorcerer that like when he screwed up on his casting and he got like snake eyes, he would just instantly turn into chaos spawn. And so he'd have to replace the model. And like, it was like, we just viewed that like he like fucking miscast this spell and then just burst into tentacles. And there he is, Mr. Noodleman, like, yeah.
What a promotion.
Yeah. And I think they had something, and chat can get at me on this. I think they had something like that in the current rules. I forget how it works, but yeah, it's a cool thing just to see on the table that you can turn into chaos spawn as well.
Yeah. For the longest time, I had my Obliterator army that I was playing in 8th edition. That was my goal for my Chaos Lord, was to try to get him either to a spawn or a Demon Prince. And the way you did that, you kill a Chaos, or you kill an enemy character, and then you get a roll on that table. But I never did manage to do it.
That's good. Is that the like the Terrors of the Warp? Is that?
No, that one would have been slightly different, and I think from an older edition even than like 7th and 8th type thing.
Okay.
And
that's cool, though.
Perils of the Warp.
Perils of the Warp.
If you want to see some really cool Perils of the Warp too, definitely go to check out like Fantasy Flight Games, all their RPG campaigns, whether you're looking at the Death Watch or the Only War. They all have psychers, so they all have wonderful tables of what could go wrong.
Yeah, I remember you talking about those in previous long ago Lorehammer episodes when you guys were going to do one of those RPGs, and you were talking about the Perils of the Warp and like how intriguing FFG got with all their different possibilities. It's cool.
Yeah, you just want to supercharge your powers every time just so you could roll on that table, and you know what? Damn your squad mates. Whatever comes of it, comes of it.
Yeah. It's cool.
I want to go check the RPG book I've got downstairs, because I've got the book for the Wrath and Glory Warhammer setting. And I know there's in there too. So I don't play one, so haven't looked at that yet, but I want to go look and see what they got for warp shenanigans.
Sweet.
Yes.
Well, moving forward, another warband here, we've got the Blood Gorged. The fury of the Blood Gorged is a terror felt across the galaxy. but it is those who dare worship Khorne's sibling gods who suffer the most. To the blood-gorged, the followers of Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh are blind fools deserving of nothing but violent retribution. They believe there is no greater offering to Khorne than the blood and skulls of those who dare venerate Khorne's rivals. The blood-gorged wage a brutal war of faith, hunting down the worshippers of other chaos gods with ruthless precision. Their attack ships stalk the Eye of Terror, the Maelstrom, and countless other battlegrounds where Chaos Space Marines hide, hunting them down like animals. Meanwhile, cultists loyal to the Bloodgorged spread across the galaxy, annihilating rival sects and clearing the way for the Warband's savage invasions. When the Bloodgorged descend upon a world, the slaughter reaches unspeakable extremes. Defenders scramble to hold their ground as the two warring chaos factions tear each other apart in a frenzy of death, and the blood-gorged bask in the chaotic bloodshed, for only through such brutal carnage can Khorne truly be honored. To the west of the Golgotha system, amid the roiling maelstrom of warp currents, the Skull Star burns fiercely in the void. This massive raging sun is a grotesque leering skull, its terrifying visage enough to drive any of those who gaze upon it to madness. While other voidfarers steer clear of the star's malevolent influence, the blood-gorged see it as a divine manifestation of Khorne's wrath. Unafraid of the warp storms, their warships plunged into the chaos to land hordes of cultists and laborers on the barren, radiation-scorched world orbiting the Skull Star. Over the years, these worlds have been transformed into brutal strongholds, their landscapes dominated by towering brass idols of Khorne that reach hundreds of feet in the sky. Everywhere, blood-drenched altars rise from piles of skulls, dark temples hum with the harsh chants of heretical worship, and demons stalk the land under the unrelenting glare of the Skull Star, a constant reminder of Khorne's boundless fury. Fuck yes. That's one of the coolest war bands or ideas I think I've seen, where it's like, it's not, yay, chaos, we're all against the good guys. No, it's, you're worshiping the wrong chaos god. We will hunt you down
Right.
and kill you. And they call the fucking thing a Skull Star. Like, I know there's such great creativity and such lack of creativity with these guys that it's just so cool either way. This has such great lore to me. And I think there's a lot of really cool possibilities for narrative campaigns, for narrative one-off play. This, to me, just is a breeding ground of imagination. Mwah. Well done.
And I was wondering, like, if they would even like skip over other enemies specifically to get to the, like, you know, the other chaos armies. So, like, say Death Guard were fighting Votann somewhere, would they just ignore the Votann and just smash into, like, the flank of the Death Guard, kill them, and leave? Would they stay and, like, also try to fight the Votann, but only after the Death Guard are dead? And, like, also, like, would they see the Imperium as, like, also worshiping, like, a false god too?
Yeah. I could imagine some of them, like, being like, I'm not, my weapon is my pride and joy, and I'm not letting it taste Votann blood before it tastes Death Guard blood. You know, I could definitely see some of them making that claim.
Yeah, I think it depends on where they attack from, because if the Votann are in the way, they're gone. Like, they're going to mow through them. I don't think they're going to dance around them.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah. But man, I could almost even see it as like some gaslighting bullshit, where it's like the Bloodgorgers come down, there's Votann and Death Guard fighting, they destroy the Death Guard, Bloodgorge destroy the Death Guard, and then kill the Votann out of, like, spite, in the sense of, like, you were struggling against them? How dare you? Like, come on. Like, that's some weak ass shit. And then trying to kill them too. What a
Or maybe
cool like
give
3-player scenario. If you got
Yeah.
you got 2 chaos players, one's playing world eaters or something, and you've got some other army. Hey, world eaters player, you're the blood gorged, and your goal is to disrupt this shit and try and kill that one guy. I love it.
And I wonder if they came in and, like, using the same example, like if the Votan were doing well against the Death Guard, they would come in, still wipe out the Death Guard, because the Death Guard not only are worshiping the false god, but now they're also losing. So, like, fuck those guys in particular.
Yeah.
Because
You're making all of chaos look weak.
Yeah.
Because the Votan were winning, they like, you were doing well, so we'll give you that honor. Or maybe also you were doing well, so you're strong, so now we're gonna fight you because you're strong.
Yeah.
Maybe they even give them one chance of just like turn to Khorne or you'll
Hey,
die.
look. Yeah, you can give me your skull willingly. That's one option. Or option 2, I could come take it.
Imagine, I also imagine like Votan, like Khorne.
Oh, all day. It's so
okay.
cool.
Well,
some Khorne
Christian just sent me some pictures of some Chaos Votan today, which were pretty fucking sweet.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, let's see.
I'll post them in the Discord here.
Yeah, everyone listening, get on the Discord so you can see these sweet pictures.
Yeah, you're gonna
in this episode, I think you're gonna find there's a lot of really cool narrative or even paint schemes, conversions, kit bashes. There's gonna be a lot of cool things that you can do if you want a worshippers of Khorne army and don't necessarily just want to play world eaters.
Yeah,
I think there's a really cool way to do it.
Oh,
yeah. We get into a couple more different ways of how to shed blood, and there's a lot of different ways to do it, surprisingly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So another way to shed blood is to be part of the Brazen Beasts. In battle, the Brazen Beasts unleash a horrific tide of demon engines, each one a twisted abomination of metal and flesh, charging into their enemies with a savage, mindless hunger. These horrific machines are born of the Warband's worship of the Gore Thunder cohort, demons that obliterate their foes with relentless barrages of skull cannons and soul grinders rampaging across the blood-soaked battlefield. Imitating these nightmarish creatures, the Brazen Beasts have created their own unholy stable of Forge Fiends, Mauler Fiends, and Defilers, which are hauled deep into the bowels of their space hulk, the Oblivion Shadow. There, these abominations are tended to by a twisted coven of enslaved warpsmiths, their very souls bound to the will of the Warband. Dominating this monstrous assembly is the Caged God, a terrifying Lord of Skulls, towering above its fellow engines like a brutal war idol. Worshipped with frenzied devotion by the Brazen Beasts, its maddened visions guide the Warband through the void, relentlessly searching for fresh victims to tear apart in a frenzy of blood, fire, and destruction. The cries of the slaughtered echo as the Brazen Beasts' engines tear through flesh, bone, and hope, driven by a thirst for carnage that cannot be quenched.
Fucking cool. I love it. It's like a demonic petting zoo for demon engines. The Space Hulk, you go into this one spot, and it's just like all these demon engines corralled up, and this weird guy like feeding them, and like, yes, eat from my hand, Juggernaut of Khorne. You're big and strong.
And then there's the Caged God, a terrifying Lord of Skulls, like just above everything. It's their war idol. Oh, this is so
like
cool
like
too.
their apex predator of this warband. It's rad.
Yeah,
that's rad.
Very cool.
Is the Defiler not a tableable model anymore? Chat,
it's been too long.
Get at us, because I only played Chaos for like a little bit of time. I like traded one of my guitars for a bunch, like a Chaos Army and a bunch of other 40K stuff back in the day. And it came with a Defiler. I was like, this is the coolest fucking model I've ever seen at the time. There was no base though, so it got really hard to like measure from like where it goes, and you can kind of model it different ways to like be smaller or bigger. So I'm curious, chat. Is it Legacy? Okay, Grimaldus. Yeah, thanks, Grim. It is Legacy, so I guess it is not a viable list to throw one in there.
That thing looks so cool.
It's
Yeah.
so like when you're imagining like the Space Hulk with them, and there's just like a bunch of them in there.
Yeah, like climbing on the ceiling and the walls, like they're not just like bound to the ground.
They're huge,
scuttling everywhere.
Yeah.
Very cool warband. The next one is the 8 Scarred. The 8 Scarred are frenzied zealots, consumed by a madness that marks them as Khorne's true disciples. Man, I'm telling you, there's a lot of Khorne philosophers out there that just think that their way is the best and only way. Put 2 more in the room. Let's see if these guys have the right path. Driven by an unholy thirst for bloodshed, their relentless fanaticism has sent them crashing through war zones, a never-ending tide of slaughter and carnage, leaving only the mangled and shattered broken bodies in their wake. Their savage devotion draws hordes of Khorne berserkers to their banner, eager to bask in the relentless violence. During battle, their ferocity attracts the attention of demonic forces from the warp, with the bloodthirster Galcarax leading the charge from his twisted minions. They have fought beside him countless times, his blood-slicked presence a terrifying force on the battlefield. But Galcarax is a cruel judge, and each member of the 8 Scarred must prove themselves worthy through the 8 blood-drenched trials. If they survive, the bloodthirster himself reaches into the mortal realm, carving a livid scar into their flesh, the mark of Khorne's favor. These battle-forged marks are the only way to earn the right to fight alongside Galcarac's demonic warriors. Should any warrior fail to earn his scar, he as willingly falls upon his own roaring chain blade, ending his life in the brutal penance, his blood an offering to the blood god. Fucking all right. That's so sweet to get this like warp scar. And you can imagine that it never heals and it always looks kind of like it's molten, burning lava.
It's never going to heal if you keep picking at it.
But the blood must flow.
Yeah.
Come on. What am I saying? I got 14% of my body blood I can lose each day.
Yeah.
Let me pick a little.
Yeah, and I almost love that it's like if you're too good at this and you don't get your scar, then you have to kill yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's worth mentioning just for maybe new listeners or those who are just uneducated in this. 8 is the chosen symbol of Khorne. So obviously the 8 Scarred? Yeah. So what a cool, again, just cool narrative. Like if you were ever going to do a 40K RPG and you wanted to be something chaos wise, you can be an 8 Scarred and you're trying to attain this like favored mark of Khorne. And that's kind of like your narrative goal. Very cool.
Yeah. Maybe the other squad members in that, you got the one guy trying to change that. Maybe the other guys have a demonic name already. Maybe they have their mark of Khorne. But yeah, it's this kind of cool fusion of, most chaos followers are trying to get like demon prince status, but most know that's not actually ever going to happen. But this is like a nice, reasonable goal. Like you can get this.
It seems like that's pretty common with all the different Khorne areas. Like they're not necessarily going for, becoming a demon or like ascending so much as just killing so many things, just showing their devotion in the best way they can. And like, it seems like, like if something cool happens, cool, but by and large, they're just in it for the violence.
Yeah, I'm just happy if I'm covered in blood, naked, swinging a chain axe in a field,
Everyone's got a different heaven.
Everyone's got a different heaven.
Heaven.
I wonder though if they know if this is common knowledge, like within like Khorne's followers. I'm sure it's rumored in some areas, but like to have specific goals this way, like I think ascending to demonhood is probably a well-known thing around the campfires of Khorne and whatnot. But I don't know if these specific little kind of goals might be as well known as they might just be kind of rumored. And you don't really know of it until it happens to you, until something you see actually happen, until like, Steve's arm is kind of forming into like his gun. Did you see that? Yeah. Like I think Khorne might be blessing him, That's cool. I didn't know that was a thing. Maybe we could try for that. So maybe
Yeah.
it's not as well known all the time of like trying to hit specific goals, but it just kind of happens.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
it's easy for us to come up with 10 gifts of Khorne, but really there's an infinite amount, and he's probably not going to give the same gift out twice
Mm,
very often,
yeah.
it was also like it could depend on like what group you belong to. Was also like if you're just some like random cult of corn forming on a planet, you don't know shit. But like if you're part of one of one of these war bands that we've talked about, you would know like the lore of and stories of your war
Mm,
band. But maybe the other ones is like, oh, did you hear about the blood gorgers and this, that, and the other? Have you heard about the eight scars and the way they are blessed by corn? You know, it's kind of like that.
yeah, almost tribe specific kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good idea. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Um, and then if you wanted to throw two words together and make it sound corny, then you would have the gore stalkers right here. So the gore stalkers are a blood-soaked warband of the Black Legion, feared across the galaxy, led by the brutal Chaos Lord Gralak Krail. This band of savage corn berserkers is infamous for their unrelenting thirst for slaughter. Their sole purpose is to hunt down and butcher those marked for death by Abaddon, leaving nothing but mangled corpses in their wake. The schemes of their victims, the screams of their victims echo through the battlefield as they carve their way into the prey, each kill an offering to Khorne. Their trophies, the skulls of the fallen, are cruelly torn from their victims and presented to the blood god, a grim reminder of their merciless violence. Okay, so this is Predator against Arnold. Boom.
Yeah.
It's they're hunting down with purpose. They're kind of the, I don't want to say assassins of Abaddon because that sounds a little too clean, but they're
Sure.
maybe like the like kind of the Space Wolves got labeled as
The executioners.
yes, the executioners. Thank you. Yeah, they're like the executioners for Abaddon and ripping your skull out, taking it from you, and
Yep.
offering it to
The
Khorne.
nice part about them is they do it whether Abaddon wants it done or not. Abaddon just one day had a bad day. He's like, fuck, I hate that guy. Finds out the next day he turned up dead in his room. That's
There
the
you
gore
go.
stalkers,
Yep.
helping
Right.
however they can.
Yep. Yeah. There it is.
So only one word. but
Dogs
also
of Abaddon. That's a pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. Was that
Yeah.
Jax? Very good.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one we've got is Harvest. The Harvest are a corn warband, but unlike other bloodthirsty packs, they don't mindlessly charge into battle. They cast themselves as defenders, biding their time, ensuring that enough blood is spilled to summon the demons of corn from the warp, bringing their dark gods into the slaughter. This twisted tactic drives them into battle, but they have no interest in fortifying their positions. Instead, they seek worlds already in the path of destruction, worlds caught in the wake of a massive orc wah or a tyrannid splinter. With ruthless efficiency, the Harvest uses their packs of warp talons to tear open breaches in reality, appearing in the very heart of the enemy's defenses. The defenders, focused on the impending doom of their own enemies, are caught completely off guard. The Harvest descend like a storm of death, their claws rending flesh, their blades cutting through bone, leaving no one alive. They massacre the defenders with savage delight, their brutality unmatched. Once the blood flows thick enough, the Harvest desecrate the strongholds they have stolen, soaking the walls in the blood of the slain before setting in to await the full force of the coming invasion. And when the storm finally breaks, the Harvest will be there, blood-soaked, howling, ready to tear into the heart of whatever dares to face them. So this almost seems too much like a scheme to be Khorne. Like they're going in it's almost like they're going with a plan to, like I said, to summon these demons at first to make them fight almost instead of them. But I'm sure they probably do fight alongside the demons they summon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fun tactic for sure, to kind of like place yourself as defenders, use these guys, put them against each other, then jump in and do the final work. But hey, what do you do? That's just another way to kill, I suppose.
Yeah, and like it almost sounds like they go in, kill the defenders, use the defenders' blood to summon more demons to then fight whatever was coming to like attack the defenders.
Yeah. It is cool to see that there is some like you're not always just like a mindless berserker.
Yeah.
There is some variance for sure.
I was just gonna
Yeah,
say, I
like-
think that's cool to see that there's a little bit of thought in this versus
Yeah.
just this dumb brutality kind of.
When I was going through the World Eaters warbands, I did find a couple I would mention just randomly. One was a tank division of World Eaters who are berserkers and tanks, essentially. So that's fun, whether they're shooting like volcano cannons or just crushing people in their tank treads. Either way, let the blood flow. And the other fun one was some ranged weapons specialists or something like that. But I decided not to include them for this time. The last one I did include is Wrath, and this is the Wrath are a Khorne warband, a mindless maelstrom of bloodshed and destruction. Clad in their corrupted power armor, they are monstrous hulking brutes driven by an insatiable thirst for slaughter. Their butchery on the battlefield is beyond comprehension. Foes are not simply slain, but eradicated with a ferocity that leaves nothing behind but mangled remnants and pools of gore. Their savagery is fueled by their fanatical devotion to Araba Gax, the bloodthirster of Insate. What? Chat, what is this word? Insensate rage. And his nightmarish honor guard and charnel reapers, whose brutality they emulate. The Wrath's worship is so absolute that Arabak's fury has fused with their very souls, transforming them into creatures of pure, unrelenting hate. Slaughter alone cannot sate their hunger. When the battle ends, they descend upon the carcasses of the dead like rabid beasts, turning their flesh of the fallen comrades and enemies alike into a nice meal. Blood is guzzled greedily, while skin is peeled away and hacked into grotesque cloaks and masks, which they wear with twisted pride. Bones are ripped from the remains, shoved through the warrior's flesh as crude totems, and organs are smashed into disgusting paste, which is smeared over weapons and armor. The last remnants of fleshless skulls are stacked in towering heaps, offerings to Khorne. These bloody trophies serve as their calling cards as they depart, forever in search of new prey. It's like those messages on a beach when you're trapped just in skulls, like SOS, but like blood for the blood god. In the dark corners of the galaxy, from the festering pits of Cormorah to the hellish depths of the Eye of Terror, the Wrath name is spoken in fearful reverence. Man, these guys are kind of wild.
It's almost a fine line between that and like getting turned into Chaos Spawn. It sounds
yeah. It's almost even like another form, not quite, of like the Thousand Suns and being dust, where these guys are like pure energy of hate. Like it's almost like really raw energy manifest almost. Like what happens when you poke open their power armor? It's not a person that spills out. It's like red energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, these definitely seems like the kind of warband that would thrive like the Feral Worlds. Like this seems it's what like the first thing I would think of when thinking of like Khorne berserkers and like blood for the blood god skulls for this going through skull throat is these guys who literally make piles of skulls as their calling card wherever they go. Like this, it just seems like almost the most quintessentially Khorne.
I was gonna say it feels very pure in the sense of Khorne for sure. Yeah. I love that.
Okay, so now there's
card.
two philosophers getting together here too. Oh God.
I love that you said it's their calling card too, because it made me think of like the scene in Home Alone when it's Harry and Marv and they're in the van and he's like, "You did that thing again, didn't you?" He's like, "You left the water on." He's like, "It's our calling card. We're the wet bandits." So like, I view like two followers of Khorne, like Khorne berserkers or something, like they get into their rhino and they're like, "The fuck is that on you?" And he's like, "It's the blood of my enemies, and I've ground their intestines into paste and I rubbed it on my face." Like, why do you do that? Why do you got to do that? He's like,
Why do you
it's
gotta
our
do
calling
that?
card. And then the guy driving the rhino looks in the rear view and he's like, Dave, did you leave all their skulls in a pile?
You
Like,
did it
yes.
again.
You didn't take them like we should have. No, that's our calling card, dude. They know we're here now.
They know.
They know.
And they make totems, so they like do arts and crafts. He's like, but here I made you this. Sorry, I left the skulls, but I made you this totem out of their spinal cord.
There's a in the middle of like you reading that, there's a little bit where I was like, ooh, sounds near Slaneshi. Like sounds very arts and crafts Slaneshi, but not.
It
Sounds
is
a little arts
excessive.
and crafts. Yeah.
A little arts and craftsy. Yeah.
But I think the difference
no,
is they're not painting with it. They're just like, fuck it. It's all over
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, the skin cloak is not form fitted. You know.
Well, when they
You know,
tear
it's a
the
one size fits all.
yeah, and they tear the like they use their foes like faces as like masks. I was like, that's a little Emperor's Children, guys. Like they're just running around like, like
Look, I could.
damn it,
It's all
damn it,
just so
Jax.
weird.
I fucking knew it. I knew it. He
Ignore
was
it.
gonna
Yeah.
he mentioned Kurz. There it is. It's a bit Kurzy. It's a
Yeah.
bit
It's fair.
Kurzy.
It is fair.
Anytime you want to skin somebody and wear them as like a belt, yeah, it gets cursy.
Yeah, it's a bit Kurzy. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Have you ever seen like any of like the real life skin stuff that the Nazis made?
Oh
No.
God, yeah.
It's
Some
wild.
of those were passed down through my family. I'm sure of it.
There's a museum
German.
where I went to
Wow.
college that had some of it.
Oh,
It was, yeah.
man, it's wild, this shit that like even thinking of like writing this, there's a lot that I'm sure is based on history, kind of like you're saying. Like there's probably a lot of this like throughout culture and different societal warfare and stuff. But yeah. It's
Yeah, like just imagine how brutal that actually would be to skin a fucking human, man.
Yeah.
Like, and just imagine, yeah, people have fucking done that. What possesses people? It's all fun
Yeah.
and games till you're skinning a human.
You read this like, oh yeah, this is just crazy chaos sci-fi stuff. No, like some of this shit really happens. It's
yeah. It's pretty horrible. Oh man. Well, we're running into maybe my favorite part of this episode, I think, is renegades and cults. I love that it's going to go a little bit into the non so obvious, like when we talk about like world eaters, Khorne berserkers, things like that. Like that's a little more of the poster boys for Khorne. I think we're going to get into the unsung heroes here. It'll be cool. So renegades and cults. I'm a sucker for cult shit, man. I think like cult things are so fascinating. Like it's just, you got a movie where like the town is all in on it, you know, like Hot Fuzz. Like I am all about that. Love crafting shit.
Has there ever been a cult where you're like, fuck, if they approached me, I would have been in?
I don't think it's not like that.
Okay.
But it's definitely just like, oh, the schemy, undermining, like secret society shit. Like, yeah.
Have you seen Lovecraft Country?
I didn't finish it. No, I didn't finish it. Like my free trial of HBO ran out before I could even like finish it.
Yeah, like it's a very similar thing. Like in that you're mentioning Lovecraft, yeah, like the whole town's in on it. This cult of sorcerers and whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love it. So, yeah, mortal renegades and cultists who fall to Khorne are not seekers of power or escape. They are warriors who have cast off restraint to embrace pure, unrelenting violence. Some are soldiers broken by endless war. Others are zealots who live only for the kill. They do not endure. They do not endure. They charge. They do not scheme. They slaughter. Khorne's cultists are frenzied, blood-soaked fanatics who preach not with words but with blades. Their faith is carved into flesh, their devotion measured in skulls taken. They revel in the chaos of battle, shouting praises to the blood god with every strike. Whether disciplined renegade or screaming cultist, all who serve Khorne know one truth. Only in war is their purpose, and only in blood is their salvation. Hell yeah.
Hell
I like that line about throwing off restraint. Like that's what it is. They're not out there seeking anything. They're freeing themselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is the classic cult thing. Like anytime you watch a cult documentary, there's always a family member who's trying to get their sibling or daughter or son out of the cult, and they're like, "You're enslaved in this," and they're like, you're the enslaved one. I'm free. I'm free. My mind is free." And they're like, "Yeah, but can you leave the compound?" And they're like, "Whenever I want to. I just choose not to."
It's
Steve
nice
says
of
I
that.
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So among those, there are the Bloodgores. The Bloodgores are savage beastmen, twisted humanoid creatures with the bodies of man and the savage features of animals who worship Khorne, the blood god. Found across many worlds within the Eye of Terror, these twisted beasts are dim-witted, bloodthirsty, and uncontrollable, driven by an insatiable urge to kill in the name of their master. They swarm the ranks of the lost and the damned, serving as brutal shock troops, armed with crude axes, jagged blades, and autoguns scavenged from the battlefield. The Bloodgores hack and shoot their way through enemies, leaving a trail of carnage in their wake. Their brutality is matched only by their mindless loyalty to slaughter as they revel in the blood and chaos they unleash.
Fuck yeah. I love Beastmen, man. Going over these last couple episodes and
Yeah.
hearing about the different human Beastmen variants. Super cool. These ones are just so satyry, so kind of just your kind of goaty demon looking guys, and I love them. You know, coming at you with jagged blades and auto guns, just like howling. And
Yeah, the first thing I thought of was like the goat men from like the Diablo franchises. Like
Yeah.
those games.
Mhm.
yeah,
These guys got some love on the table through that Kill Team box, right?
yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
Nice.
I think I forget they were it was actually like Beastmen though. It was like Beastmen for 40K. I forget what the Kill Team. I'll find it, but
yeah. Like it would almost be pretty tough to spot the difference between a regular Beastman and a Bloodgore. Like we're like a Zangor and a Beastman. They'd be pretty easy to spot. Well, one's all of a sudden blue and has more bird features than goat.
Yeah.
You know.
these are the Felgor Ravagers. That's what they were for the Kill Team, the Felgor Ravagers. They've got the Khorne symbol. They look
sweet.
fantasy, but they've got like really cool chain swords. I see a bolt pistol, but like they're mostly full on melee. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Fucking all right.
Oh, those guys look sweet. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I definitely want to do an episode, I said before, on Beastmen, learn more about cultures and stuff, see how much we can find about how they're like really act, because they seem very prevalent the more I read about them. Like, it seems like a very common abhuman and a very common like thing to go to chaos.
And one not so obviously explored in the 40K universe, more so like fantasy and Age of Sigmar. I think you see it more prevalent there.
Yeah, for sure. They have the whole faction essentially of them.
They have Beastmen army. Yeah.
The next cult is the Blood Pacts and the Sons of Sect, and we actually already did an episode on them, 145. But we'll do a little recap here in case you just want the quick and dirty. The Blood Pact is a fanatical, highly disciplined chaos cult sworn to Khorne, the god of slaughter. Unlike the frenzied mobs of other cults, the pact marches as a blood-slicked army, drilled and ruthless like a corrupted mirror of the Imperial Guard. Born from the butcher's vision of a warlord Orlok Gar, they became his personal legion of killers, an elite vanguard of carnage and organized death. Their battles heralded massacres across the Sabbath worlds, carving Imperial soldiers and civilians alike into screaming ruin. Wherever they marched, blood flowed, and the Imperium drowned in agony and fire. The Sons of Sect, also known as the cult of the Ankh of the Seketites, were a savage chaos warbound and militarized cult that wreaked havoc across the sanguinary and Sabbath worlds in M41. Founded and led by the brutal magistrate Antkunwar Sek, they mirrored the terrifying efficiency of the Blood Pact, but with an even darker hunger for slaughter. Their battle tactics were twisted symphony of carnage as they tore through the Imperium, leaving rivers of blood and mangled corpses in their wake. Sect's disciples reveled in the bloodshed, their every action driven by thirst for violence that made them feared and loathed across the galaxy. Yeah,
Pretty straightforward.
pretty straightforward. Organized violence, and then eventually they get really good at that, and they wanted a little more freedom, so they kind of made the Sons a sect where you can kind of get out of the firing line and into the charging line.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely go back and listen to that episode if you haven't. It's a really good one.
Yeah, that was 145, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Then we get into the blood cults. Blood cults are savage chaos cults that worship Khorne, the Lord of Skulls. These fanatics gather in blood-soaked chambers and gore-slicked tunnels beneath teeming cities, plotting murder sprees and ritual massacres in their god's name. On the grim worlds of the Imperium, a spike in slaughter, mutilation, and vanishing souls is often ignored, letting these cults fester and grow in the shadow of decay. Their reasons for joining vary. Some watched friends get gutted in drunken brawls. Others saw their kin butchered in Arbites purges. Some simply crave the crunch of bones beneath their fists. Pain, rage, and loss twist their minds until only violence remains. They hunger to maim, to feel stronger through every kill, and to carve their path in flesh. When such monsters find each other, the blood flows freely. Bound by a shared thirst for carnage, they kill to earn power and vengeance, feeding the blood god with skulls torn from screaming throats. Khorne always answers. That one's a bit of like the I mean, I'm sure there's different cases, but that one feels a little bit of like the tragedy story. It's like they paint it in the picture of like, you know, something bad happens, you get into like this revenge scheme, and then next thing you know, you're like plotting to overthrow this government, and then you're like killing a bunch of people, and you just maybe got in with the wrong crowd.
Fucking Rowdy Weekend is all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rowdy Weekend, your buddy gets gutted outside of the bar, and all of a sudden you're in a blood cult.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're in a blood cult.
Again, really cool narrative ideas though. Like you're fighting on a world or something where like it says times where people are dying and stuff just kind of go unnoticed in certain cities because it's just there's so many billions of people on it. To have something where like this is almost Gene Stealer cult-ish, where it's like it builds from within slowly, and then it kind of can overrun a city or planet.
Yeah, like just showing like on a hive world how much like, you know, in the underhive parts and everything, like nobody cares, they don't pay attention.
Right.
And even also like if you wanted to even have a story where there was like a sympathy towards the blood cult, you know, they talk about the Arbites coming down and watching them kill your family. You know, it's that classic story of like villains are made, not born sometimes. So this is what turns you. You know, you were doing your job, working for the Empire, and all of a sudden the Arbites killed your wife for whatever reason, and so now you're like, fuck them.
Yeah.
Fucking vengeance.
Yeah.
I like that this is pretty generic. Like this blood cult it appears across the galaxy over and over and over. Like, you know, where Chinch's cults, you might not see the same one ever again. You know, they all have their different goals and stuff, but ultimately the blood cults are all so similar and so simple that they just keep popping up. That one's for you, Fuzz.
So, yep, sorry. So the next is the Cadian 666. The Cadian 666 Purified are a fanatical chaos cult devoted to Khorne, the blood god. During the brutal War of Beasts on Vigilus, these heretics performed dark rituals that tore open the fabric of reality, unleashing hordes of demons upon the war-ravaged world.
Yeah, that one didn't have too much information, but why I really liked it was it kind of gave me the cool naming conventions of you take any regiment and then you slap either 666 in front of it or you slap the god-specific number. Like this should have been the Cadian 888. But let's talk about the Vestroyan 777, you know, that have fallen to Nurgle, I suppose. Is it Nurgle? No, Slaanesh.
Let's
7 Zinch,
Zinch. Okay.
isn't it?
7 is 6 is Slaanesh, I think, because it's he's got the 6 layers of his realm, I believe.
Yeah.
And then I thought Nurgle was 3.
No, he's definitely higher.
Is it higher than that? Okay.
You know, we could find it out. Chat will let us know. We're just
yeah, tell us
whatever.
There's been so many episodes that
Yeah.
Mark has done.
But
Nerd.
I do like this like concept of like, yeah, you basically take any
Nurgle is-
regiment and you slap that kind of god number on it, and then all of a sudden you got a cool theme going.
Nurgle is 7. Yeah, Fuzz was right. Nurgle is 7 and 3 for some reason. Khorne is 8.
Interesting.
Zinch is 9. Slaanesh is 6.
Yeah.
That's right. Zinch was 9. I remember that connection now. Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. It's worth mentioning just again for maybe new listeners or folks that just aren't familiar. This would be an Imperial Guard regiment. I would assume. I think it shows it on there that it's an Imperial Guard regiment that's gone the way of chaos.
Yeah.
Which I remember seeing when they did the Eye of Terror campaign back in like 2001 or 2. In one of the White Dwarfs, they had somebody paint up like a full army of Cadian soldiers that were in like the blood red, and they had fallen from the Imperium and they were now worshiping Khorne. And that was like first time I was like, you can go against the like Imperium in your army choice. That's so cool. Like still play a like Imperium friendly model, but paint it as if it was chaos. Very cool.
Yeah, it's crazy what a little paint can do. Change it all so drastically. Yeah, you don't even have to really. If you want, you could add a spike or 2 into the army, but not necessary.
Yeah, these guys weren't. They weren't spiky bits, and they were just straight up humans that were just like, fuck this. We're not fighting for the Imperium. We like killing, and it's all good with Khorne. So,
yeah, cool. The next cult we'll talk about is the Kith. The Kiths were a chaos cult of frenzied Khorne worshippers led by fanatical magister Sholin Sakara, encountered during the Sabbath Worlds Crusade. Colonel Commissar Garnt described Sakara as a death worshipper who killed indiscriminately to honor chaos. Though savage, the Kith lacked the discipline of the Blood Pact. Without leadership, they descended into orgies of torture, mutilation, and murder, collapsing in exhaustion until roused by the commanding presence. Then, touched by Khorne's will, they moved with terrifying unity, sometimes sacrificing themselves in masses to please their monstrous god. After their slaughter at Balhat, Sakara fled to Sepinsyria. Doesn't fucking matter how I say it, I'll never say that fucking word ever again in my life, where his cult butchered the entire population of Eskar Island's manufactorum cities. The Kith were finally annihilated when a desperate explosive trap caused Sakara to believe his fortress had fallen. He ordered a mass suicide, fulfilled without hesitation, though he was captured alive. Oh, of course the cult leader made it out of the drinking of the Kool-Aid. Despite this, Kith's remnants survived. Before Balhat, Sakar scattered lieutenants throughout the hives of Severin. These agents subverted the populace and helped him escape the Inquisition before Iron Snakes killed the warlord. Fun time with these guys. You can get a little distracted with your blood frenzy, and you can just start mutilating and fucking corpses, I guess.
I agree with Jackson in the comments. It sounds Slaaneshi. Like as soon as they talked about like
Slaaneshi
and slaughter and like it's a lot.
We talked about ways to spend weekends, and this one might not be for me.
Right.
It also doesn't have the it doesn't have the Khorne vibe in the name either. It has like the Mike Tyson Kiss vibe. Now Kiss. like it doesn't sound Cadian 666, the blood cults. It's like we're the Kith.
Kith sounds like a Xeno species.
Yeah.
Or Slaaneshi.
I think it's a little Slaaneshi. It's just like I don't know. So now going back into the naming devices, we have the Goremongers. The Goremongers are a deranged Khorne chaos cult whose 8 original members. There we go. Some numerology there.
Numerology.
Yeah. 8 original members survived the impossible, witnessing a bloodletter tear through a battlefield, and were forever twisted by the sight. Driven mad with reverence, they swore to remake themselves in the demon's image to become living echoes of slaughter incarnate. This is already so cool. They see something, it's changed them, and they must worship it, and they must do this thing. So cool.
This one's probably one of my favorite of all of them that we're doing today. And you see even a little more what going too far can do.
Yeah, very cool. So their history, their transformation began in agony. Each cult sawed off their own life. Oh my God. As I'm reading this, it's like, holy shit, this just got ramped up.
Starting strong.
Wow. Their transformation began in agony. So after seeing this fucking demon, this bloodletter tear through a battlefield, they've been changed forever. Each cultist sawed off their own legs, howling praises to Khorne as they replaced flesh with jagged mechanical limbs shaped in mimicry of their infernal idol. This mutilation is now the first rite for any new devotee. Cripple the body, forge it anew in pain and steel. Wow. Their veins run hot with unceasing combat stims and tainted drops of bloodletter ichor, which boil their sanity and drive their hate to fever pitch. Yet beneath the madness festers a cold, calculating will. Unlike many of Khorne's frothing berserkers, the Goremongers retain a sliver of strategic clarity, making them horrifyingly effective. When the time for bloodletting comes, they follow their sadistic leader, the Blood Herald, into war, armed with rusted chain weapons, barbed ritual daggers, and an unquenchable hunger for gore. Now they stalk the ravaged surface of Volcus, targeting the colossal firing cap of the massive ballistus cannon as it is dragged toward its core. Their plain and simple apocalyptic. Their plan is simple and apocalyptic. Detonate the cap in the heart of the city and drown its streets in fire and viscera. But first, they must butcher the sanctifiers, the ecclesiarchal defenders guarding the weapon's path. Coolest fucking part of the episode right there.
Man.
The narrative abilities here to the kit bashing possibilities for a full army.
Yes.
Just get your X-Acto knife, chop them legs off, start putting like Skitari
chop.
legs or something like that. Man.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love going up to a Home Depot with 8 of my buddies and we all just buy a hacksaw together. And the Home Depot guy's looking at you like, what are you all up to? But he doesn't know. We just really appreciate bloodletter design aesthetic.
It's like the classic conveyor belt, like as you like the items get weirder and weirder as they go, but it's just like 8 saws and the guy's looking at you and he's like doing a little bit of a house update, eh? And he's like, and then your buddy's like, what do you know about Khorne?
Right, I'm imagining like standing at Home Depot measuring the hacksaw blade length against the width of your own leg.
Yeah.
It's like this will be wide enough to do that. It's like I'm like a hacksaw
wood
blade,
and metal blade,
some metal. Yeah.
It reminds me of that It's Always Sunny episode when Dee and Dennis are like getting in the mind of the serial killer, and they're at like the Ace Hardware or something, and they're like trying to see if this would like chop through bone and stuff.
Yeah,
it's good.
Oh my God. Yeah, these guys are wild, man. Like you said, so many great conversion opportunities. Cool fucking motivation. Cool,
really
everything.
Well written. Just like they're not the we're gonna go kill everything and fuck shit up. Like there's a method to their madness a little bit. They're hopped up on combat stims. They're drinking bloodletter ichor. They're well rounded. They're well written. I think it's a really, really cool thing for this episode and just the overview of what Khorne is, because it gets a little like we get it. The blood blood drinkers drink the blood gorgers gorge the blood things smash the blood, the skulls, the blood. And this is like, they saw something that was fucking mind shattering, and now they're insane and they do this.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It reminds me a little bit of God, what was we did the movie actually for a Sunday movie night. And now I can't Event Horizon, that's what I'm thinking of.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you just see something so terrible and it like infects you and it changes you. I'm sure there's other movies like that, like Hellraiser came to mind.
Mhm.
Just as far as like seeing something that is so like terrifying that you might want to alter yourself to mimic it.
Even Alien 3, the director's cut, which isn't actually a director's cut. David Fincher didn't approve of that. Side note. But in Alien 3, Golic, who sees the beast and whatnot, is so enamored with it. It's a dragon and he loves it, and they capture it and he lets it go. So in the director's cut, he's the one that frees the alien after they've trapped it in like the smelting area or whatnot, because he wanted to see it. And it's just that he's so like taken by whatever this image is of this beast. And he's obsessed with it. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, these guys, their goal is to get into that uncanny valley of just like, are they human? Oh man.
Yeah.
Not quite.
I will be back. My eyes are killing me from allergies. We were talking about it before the episode. I'm gonna go pop my glasses on and join the Fuzz Club of eyewear. So I'll be right back.
No worries. Go get some blood drops for your eyes.
Get that bloodletter ichor for your eyes.
That's right. Yeah.
So while Court does that, we're going to go on to, I know one of Mark's favorite things, night houses. So when an imperial night house falls to Khorne, their noble lineage is drowned in blood and wrath. Once proud banners are torn and scorched, replaced by brutal symbols of the blood god. Their war machines no longer march with honor, but charge into battle as monstrous engines of slaughter, their armor adorned with spikes, skulls, and the marks of endless war. The corrupted knights wield weapons built for carnage, massive chain blades that roar like beasts and cannons that blast apart foes in storms of fire and gore. They do not fight with tactics, but with fury, seeking only worthy enemies to kill. Each battle is a ritual, each kill an offering. They are not just knights, they are Khorne's wrath made manifest, bringing only death, fire, and endless war. Yeah, this sounds so fucking cool. I always just love thinking about like, hey, knights just look cool in general. And a lot of their faces already look kind of like robot skulls. And then just in all the ways they can get changed for the different chaos groups that they would fall to. And like, yeah, Khorne, just skulls everywhere. I imagine spikes on shoulder, body parts impaled on those spikes hanging down, bloody chains with skin and gore hanging from the chains. All sorts of cool stuff with those.
Yeah, like less mutated, with Nurgle and Cheech. It's very like flickering, almost warp tainted power. But yeah, Slaanesh. For Khorne, it's almost more of like a real visceral appearance as opposed to like a flickering kind of warp appearance. Like you said, with the stacked up bodies, like that's a real fucking thing.
Yeah,
that was a real dude. Yeah. It's fun too to think about Chaos Knights falling to Khorne, or just Knights falling to Khorne. Just with the way Knights are, it's almost ritualistic battle. They have tournaments. All of a sudden, maybe the tournaments start getting a little more bloody over the couple years, and eventually, maybe they start doing only honor duels to the death, and then before long, this whole kind of house is slowly kind of falling to Khorne without even knowing it. Yeah, because when you're in like the fucking territory of war and battle, that's Khorne's territory. So you're dancing that edge.
Yeah, it's what these night houses they're going to be raised in combat, for taught, to wield a sword before they can walk, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
We've mentioned in previous episodes too that Khorne's the one that like almost no matter what on a battlefield, he's being praised because it's death, it's blood.
Yeah. So the one night house I was able to find is House Annihilation. I'm sure that was an imperial name as well. Probably not, but the Imperium has like Steel Legion Armageddon, so why not? House Annihilation is a Chaos Knight house that pledges itself to the blood god of Khorne. Once known by a noble name, the Knight House fought for the Imperium with relentless ferocity, carving their honor into the flesh of millions. Their brutal campaigns earned hollow praise from some, while others recoiled in terror at the carnage left in their wake. The house performed the butcher's work that softer men could not stomach. Massacres, exterminations, entire cities left piled with corpses. In time, drowned in gore and deaf to the cries of the weak, they turned to Khorne, who exalted in their endless slaughter. With their souls chained to the blood god, they sent their noble lineage ablaze, ancestral records reduced to ash in the name of fire fed by betrayal. From the blood-soaked rebirth came House Annihilation, a name forged in hatred and war. Only their grim creed remained, honor through annihilation. Now they march to show the Imperium what true strength is, measured not in virtue, but in the rivers of blood and mountains of skulls. That's fun. Like, the point of being a knight typically, is to defend the weak, to defend your serfs or whatever. And yeah, it seems like they started getting violent with them at first and then went really bad. Kind of broke their creed and went the opposite way completely.
Yeah, like, if you're weak, then you don't deserve to survive.
Yeah, like that Khornate corruption, like what calls to a lot of Khorne followers. It's that like fear of weakness. It's that I'm not the best, I gotta be better than that champion, or just like, I was hit once and I don't ever want to be weak enough that somebody can hit me again. It's that despise of weakness.
And knowing that you can get better through Khorne and get, if you try and you continue to pledge and worship that way, that
there's daily goals.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of blood each day.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Like a violence Fitbit.
That's the butcher's nails. That's all that is. It's just a Fitbit in your head.
The violence Fitbit.
Yes. Nice, Fuzz. That was good. Then going from there, it's Titan Legions, which is the big step up. So Khorne's Titan Legions are not engines of subtlety or strategy, which is any Titan Legion engines of subtlety? Like, you're a fucking Titan. Come on. They are towering avatars of rage and slaughter. These god machines charge into battle like furious gods of steel, their hulls marked with blood and brass, their every movement a thunderous roar of unrelenting war. Their machine spirit is no longer bound by logic or duty, but driven by a singular, howling hunger for battle. These titans do not bring plague or entropy. They bring annihilation. Their weapons are brutal and direct, massive chain blades that rip apart enemy engines, cannons that obliterate with raw force, and hellish war horns that echo with Khorne's fury. Every step they take crushes the weak beneath them, and every kill is a sacred offering. They are not machines of war, they are temples of violence, and in their shadow, only death remains. Wow.
Yeah. I love Titans, man. Like, yeah, you're saying, they don't really sneak around. Yeah, how could they? These 100, 200 feet tall fucking metal structures that you would think would just sink into the ground, but no, they got magic fucking technology that keeps them from doing that. Like, to look at them, they just would be like, well, how does that work?
Yeah, and like, you'd think Titans would be like the ultimate kind of worshippers of Khorne, if you will, and that just their entire purpose is to kill the most people and the biggest things as fast as possible. It's like,
Either of you guys close to oceans and whatever?
A little bit.
I'm one state away.
I live close to like a deep water port that ships away bananas from Chiquita, but when I drive next to their cargo ship in my tiny little boat, I imagine the feeling is very similar of just like you're looking at this giant fucking metal thing doing something it shouldn't be doing. And it's, yeah, I get a weird feeling every time it happens, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
That's just a boat, not an angry fucking metal machine.
right. Like having been on a cruise ship, just being like, just even walking up to it, just something
Yeah.
that can go across the water is wild.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling it can give you.
Yeah.
So with Khorne's Titans, with his Titan legions, we have the Legio Volpa. In the Age of Strife, forged from the crucible of unending bloodshed, the Legio Volpa was birthed upon the war-racked world of Anvilus during the Age of Strife. Their founding purpose was singular: to exterminate the Gendari, a vile race of nomadic biomechanical killers who unleashed war engines equal in terror to the Imperium's own Titans. The first Princeps of Volpa proved himself a ruthless butcher, razing the Xenos temple cities with merciless precision, turning sanctuaries into smoking graveyards. The final act of this brutal campaign saw the Legio break the back of Gendari resistance by annihilating the forge moon of Eth, in a storm of molten fire and collapsing ruins. The moon, third from Anvilus' system star, burned red with blood and ash. It is whispered that the grand matriarch of the Hezbaru tribe, a towering biomechanical abomination of 43 meters, tore 7 titans to pieces with claw and blade before she was finally overwhelmed and torn limb from limb. In the aftermath, a grisly tribute was left along the moon's greatest river, a 2-kilometer procession of Xenos skulls, each split, boiled clean, and etched with the chilling verse, "Here our greatest blades rest, firm in belief they knew death's art, taught instead by those who stalk beneath its shroud." From that blood-soaked day onward, the Legio Volpa took the title Deathstalkers, a name spoken with dread and awe. The war against the Gendari did more than test the Deathstalkers, it reshaped them. They studied the Xenos savage ways and embraced their predatory tactics, learning to strike from shadow, to bleed before burning, to hunt with brutal cunning rather than rely solely on ranged might. This feral doctrine was later inscribed into the Libraxis Tacticae Volpa, a blood-stained text of slaughter, strategies, and shadow war. Armed with these new methods, the Legio carved a trail of devastation that widened Anvilus' dominion, leaving nothing but wreckage and butchered enemies in their wake. Let's see, the Great Crusade. In the early days of the Great Crusade, the Deathstalkers spilled forth into the stars, leaving only scorched earth behind. A secondary fortress was established on Mars itself, where they clashed bitterly with the Titan Legio Deathbolts in a long and spiteful territorial feud. Their disdain for diplomacy was on full display during the infamous sack of Bifex on Dendritica. Rather than tolerate the suggestion of negotiation, the Legio Volpa unleashed the hellfire and crushed the city beneath the heels of their titans, drawing the seething ire of more disciplined Legio Solaria. These guys are fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
also just in that first part fighting the Xenos, like, as huge as these titans are, the fact that one of these biomechanical, the matriarch, the biomechanical titan of the enemy, tore through 43 of these things, that 43 of them were theoretically deployed in one battle sphere, like one area of war, is
what does that even mean? Like how would any battlefield survive such a force and such a wild scale?
Yeah, that's just and such an immense amount of firepower and logistics and resources to do all of that.
Sometimes that's where GW shines in their ridiculousness. Like it's fun. Just like, that's so dumb. It's so cool.
Yeah. I just reread that, and the abomination stood 43 meters and it tore through 7 titans. So slightly different, but still 7 titans is a wild situation.
Yeah. Like, yeah, because each titan is like you said, like the size of a small town in some respects. Like, think of like a medieval hamlet, and the titan is spread like just between its legs, your entire little village instead.
Fuck yeah.
Let's see, where was I? It's where was I? Horus Heresy. Yeah. When the fires of civil war ignited Mars, the Deathstalkers turned on the Emperor without hesitation, pledging themselves to Horus with blackened oaths and hearts full of treachery. Their allies in the Dark Mechanicum unleashed them upon their old rivals, the Deathbolts, and the ambush was cataclysmic. In the opening hour of battle, the Deathbolts lost 19 Titans, their proud engines torn down like prey animals, their reactors bursting in city-shattering explosions. Though the Loyalists escaped, they did so bloodied and broken. Under the influence of the blasphemous Dark Apostle Bjork Kral, the Deathstalkers descended further into the abyss, giving themselves wholly to Khorne, the Lord of Skulls. Blood rites became routine, sacrifice and slaughter replaced protocol. The Legio fought with madness in their circuits during the Battle of Moloch, and their carnage knew no restraint. Their fury only intensified during the apocalyptic Battle of Beta Garmon, deployed to Beta Garmon 3 and Theta Garmon 5. 8 princeps were fused with demonic entities by the profane efforts of Magus Ardim Protoss and Apostle Kral. These unholy unions birthed berserker titans, possessed warlords roaring Khorne's name as they tore cities apart with infernal glee. I imagine that like replaced their war horn instead of just like a big horn sounding. It just yelled Khorne.
Khorne.
The Legio would go, The Legio would go on to take part in the Siege of Terra itself, laying siege to Gorgon Bar and clashing with none other than the angelic Primarch Sanguinius. Let's see, in the post-heresy era, by the benighted days of the 41st millennium, the Deathstalkers had vanished into myth, their name surviving only as a cursed whisper in war-scarred records. Yet when the stars once again burned with war, they returned. Sightings placed them among the monstrous hosts of Abaddon the Despoiler during the cataclysmic 13th Black Crusade, where their titans marched, planets died. The Deathstalker's icon is the Vorpus Saberfang, an ancient, long-extinct predator said to embody the perfect blend of patient, cunning, and unrelenting savagery. Their elite princeps draped in flayed banners and bone charms are known to keep genetically reconstructed versions of the beast as twisted mockeries of pets, living trophies to mirror the horrors they unleash on the battlefield.
Cool. Quite a bit of information on this Titan Legion. A couple really kind of interesting parts were in the Great Crusade, this Titan Legion went to kind of territorial war with another legion. There's just like territorial disputes with Titans. You know, they're so big and nothing really controls them. If they want more territory, what do you kind of do? You kind of have to shift and give them some stuff, but kind of fun.
Yeah, it's cool to see things fleshed out like this, like a lot of information on Titans, which don't seem to get a lot of love.
It gives you a new perspective of their hierarchy and everything, where it's like, okay, so these guys are this is Great Crusade times. You're not supposed to be firing on friendly Imperial citizens, but they get away with it. Now, eventually they do fall to chaos, but still.
Yeah. Moving forward with another traitor Titan Legion, we've got the Legio Audax, infamously known as the Ember Wolves, was a savage traitor Titan Legion that pledged itself to Horus during the brutal carnage of Istvan III. Known for their blood-drenched bond with the World Eaters, the Audax served as the merciless warhounds of the 13th Expeditionary Fleet during the Great Crusade. Their ranks boasted no fewer than 90 warhound scout titans, along with the rare and even more monstrous direwolf heavy scouts, war machines built for slaughter. And we go into their history. Forged in the dark heart of Mars during the Great Crusade, Legio Audax was created to provide relentless Titan support to the expeditionary fleets. Hurried into existence, their numbers were filled solely with warhound Titans, fast, feral, and made for the hunt. A delegation of tech priests and precious STC fragments accompanied them, intended to birth greater Titan classes once a Forge world could be conquered and colonized. Their future never arrived. That future never arrived. During the war against the Xenos Zalasser Empire, their sacred STC files were corrupted, defiled by the alien Void Singers. The Legion's legacy turned to ash, and from that curse, something darker rose. They carved a path of destruction through the stars. At Lauren Alpha, the Ember Wolves reduced entire hives to slag and ruin, incinerating combatants and innocents alike. Bodies were fused to charred ferrocrete. Screams were silenced under the crush of Titan foot and flame. For this atrocity, they were officially censored, but not dismantled. Instead, the War Council exiled them to Bot, the World Eater's pitiless training world. Excuse me. Ensuring their wrath would boil unchecked. Starved of reinforcements and denied all resupply, they were condemned to fight with only their dwindling pack of warhounds. It was on Bot that the wolves embraced the red path of Angron. Their oaths shifted from Collegia Titanica to the Butcher himself. From this savage brotherhood came the creation of Ursus Claws, brutal harpoons mounted on every Titan's right arm, used to impale enemy god machines and reel them in like prey. Scorpion, Mortal Kombat, anyone?
Get over here, Titan.
There we go. Their hunting packs, tight formations of up to 5 warhounds would surround larger Titans, immobilize them, and then rip them apart piece by piece. Their left arms were armed with a brutal array of weapons, plasma incinerators, melta-lances, Vulcan mega bolters, tailored for maximum torment and battlefield horror. As the heresy bled on, so too did the Legion's sanity. They marched into the war within the webway, and demons howling at their sides, chaos filth clinging to their hulls like a second skin. These were no longer Titans, they were abominations in steel. Yet even in their darkest hour, not all were lost. A fragment of the Legion broke free, naming themselves the Hounds of Night. They fought with desperate, honorable fury for the Imperium, their engines roaring at Beta Garmin as the stars themselves screamed. But the monsters, the true Legio Audax, descended upon Terra. They were the first of Horus's beasts to breach the walls of the inner palace, their claws tearing through stone and flesh alike. Their howls echoed through the blood-soaked ruins of humanity's last hope, hunting the throne with fire, steel, and unrelenting hate. Again, a really, really well fleshed out Titan Legion, and almost tragedy. Like, this isn't born out of like pure hatred and stuff. Like, their shit was messed with by Xenos. They had they were going in the path of like, we're going with the expeditionary fleets. We are Titan support. We've got this. We're going out to other worlds, and we've got a plan. And it didn't happen, and they kind of unfortunately turned. It's very cool.
Yeah. I love the tactic that they have, where they just have these warhounds that will surround and hunt down bigger creatures, pin them to the ground, immobilize them, surround them, and then just unleash all hell.
Yeah.
Fucking cool.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Just like that they're almost entirely made of the smallest, fastest Titans, which are still enormous. Like, these things are still massive, but like they're the swift hunters of the Titan legions.
Yeah, very different vibe, and that is the vibe, that swiftness for sure.
Yeah,
very fun. Yeah, so those were the couple of Titan legions I found. Very cool to read about. We'll jump to Xenos followers. Xenos who fall to Khorne become brutal echoes of his endless wrath. Their civilizations consumed by bloodless and relentless warfare. These alien followers do not seek unity or understanding. They glorify violence. Their cultures restructured around combat, sacrifice, and conquest. Where once stood temples or archives now arise arenas and altars soaked in the blood of the slain. Khorne's gifts are not subtle. He grants fury, strength, and an insatiable hunger for battle. Entire species become engines of destructions, wielding weapons forged in rage, their bodies honed through endless war. Some tear through enemies with primal ferocity, while others chant war cries that shake the stars. They do not seek peace or reason, only one truth: blood for the blood god and skull for the skull throne. Heck yeah. Man, where is that line of a Xenos worshipping Khorne? You know, all Xenos are just so violent and chaotic. Like, whether you're defending your people from other violent Xenos or not, like, man, every race better look out. There's a spot for you in Khorne's wing.
Oh, absolutely. Like, violence is just one of the most natural things. I mean,
unfortunately,
in every ecosystem, like, someone's gonna eat you.
Yeah.
Yep. Even cows eat grass, man. It's all life for life.
I think it goes over sometimes oversimplified and overlooked that Xenos do worship these chaos gods. I think we often see it too much as like ex-Imperium people, demons, that's kind of it. Humanity falls because we're weak. And like the obvious thing is like Eldar don't do that because they're immortal and they can see that they fucking hate Slanesh and don't want to deal with that. And the Drukhari are just, better not get captured by them. They'll turn you into a couch. But it's cool to see that like this is fleshed out. Like, no. Like you guys said, like there are countless worlds out there with intelligent life, in the sense that like more intelligent than humanity in the scope of the grim dark future, and they have a choice, and the choice is sometimes violence and worshiping Khorne, and it's not pigeonholed to just humanity and demons. It's everything.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is like what gets talked about here a lot, how at least in the lore it was that the other three chaos gods besides Slanesh were functionally birthed or made more sentient and powerful by humanity, and obviously the model ranges of mostly humans don't help anything with that. But you look at things like the Emperor's Children, where Fulgrim was functionally turned by an artifact from a chaos turned Xenos world.
Yeah.
It just makes for better storytelling, I think, too.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it's too bad we didn't have like infinite model potential. Obviously we can't get all that stuff, but a wet dream would be seeing, let's see some Khorne orcs. I've seen them in White Dwarf. I know they exist. Same with Nurgle orcs. But yeah, it'd be sweet to see stuff. But only up here, I guess. And here.
3D printing.
Yeah, renegade Khorne Tau legions and things like that. Like seeing some blue boys painted red.
Some Khorne warriors would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So the first one we've got here to mention is the Scaphelid. The Scaphelid are a savage insectoid Xenos breed that infest the demon-haunted hellscape of Drakasi. Native to the planet's rotting, warp-tainted soil, they are a blight upon the land, vile and bloodthirsty, perfectly at home amid the screaming winds and bleeding skies of the demon world. Scaphalids are multi-limbed monstrosities encased in thick, chitinous black carapaces that stink of ichor and decay. Their heads are a grotesque blend of twitching mandibles and rows of unblinking predatory eyes. Always watching, always hungry. They stand upright in a twisted mockery of a human form, their torsos vaguely humanoid but stretched and warped into brutal instruments of violence. As they grow older, they do not weaken. Instead, they swell in size, becoming towering executioners with limbs long and sharp enough to rip a man apart in seconds. Once, before humanity came to Drakasi, The Scaphulids ruled the world in their own dark way, but when human settlers arrived, the Xenos were either forced into hiding in the planet's festering depths or were captured and chained. That status quo shattered when the blood-drenched human warlord Venalidor, a champion of Khorne, carved his way across the planet. Drenched in the gore of 1,000 kills, Venalidor bound the Scaphulids and bent them to his will, baptizing them in slaughter and introducing them to the worship of the Skull Throne. They took it like starving beasts, becoming willing thralls, mindless and loyal, desperate to die for the blood god. Little is known about their former society, save that it was divided into brutal clans, constantly tearing at each other. The Scaphulids had no pride, no shame. They will crawl and beg, their faces pressed into the filth, so long as they are given a chance to kill or be killed. Since falling from Khorne, their culture has become one of endless sacrifice. They launch themselves at enemies in wave after wave of suicidal fury, hurling bodies into death, not for victory, but for the glory of bloodshed. They do not fear death, they crave it, as long as it is loud, violent, and soaked in gore. Their technology is virtually non-existent. There are no signs of industry, no machines, no architecture beyond what they have looted or scavenged. But each Scaphulid is born with a weapon, a massive bladed structure fused to its forearms, operating like giant serrated shears. With these crude but effective tools of carnage, they tear apart everything that bleeds. Flesh, armor, bone. It all gives way beneath the blades, and they revel in every spray of blood, every scream, every twitch of a dying foe. One of the coolest Xenos races I've ever heard, right there. One of the coolest. Like that's the you want to play Tyranids, but you don't want to do the whole Tyranid thing. You like Khorne, kit bash some shit together, and then boom, you've got the Scaphulid. Very cool. Almost again, tragedy, like a tragic story. Like humanity came to them, they were just chilling and they had to hide. Khorne's dude came down, slaughtered a bunch of people, and was like, hey, I can get you what you want.
I got power.
Man.
Yeah, it seemed to me like they were almost like when humanity came there, they were a primitive species.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably weren't even into any sort of Iron Age that as compared to us. And they were enslaved and used as tools or just killed. And like you said, whenever when Khorne's champion came there, he's like, oh, I have a better use for you. And they're like, sure, it's probably better than this shit.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll kill some stuff. I don't mind doing that.
I already got this blade attached to my hand. Why not?
Why not?
This
kind of made me start thinking about, you kind of touched on it there, but different times in a society in which God would have the most sway. Like these guys, they were tribal, brutal. Like it was at like almost the beginning of their history. So Khorne has the biggest hole where it's like, how does a society get out of that violent stage? That's kind of the first thing you got to get out of. And then maybe you get to change, maybe a generation is starting to build society, starting to form rules and plots and schemes are happening. And then eventually that all kind of balances out and you've actually built something very incredible. And now chances are good you're going to fall to Slaanesh. That whole no more problems, you make your own problems with Slaanesh. Mm-hmm. And then finally comes decay, and that's where Nurgle gets his little bit of the empire as, at each stage of this society or empire, you kind of have a different god that's really pulling at you. That kind of has its opportunity to claim the Xenos.
Yeah. I'm looking for pictures, man. And like, there's a few that pop up. Too, yeah. I just don't think it's well represented, but damn, I want to see something on the table.
My mind went to some of the different like insectoid races in like Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy stuff that could probably be, close enough to what these would be like.
There's a few, like there's one modeled here on Google, but that looks like more fish-like. and I'm picturing like weird cross between Tyranids and almost like the bugs from Starship Troopers a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, like these didn't seem like these were humanoid bugs. These were like bugs, essentially.
Yeah.
Big still and whatever, and sentient and whatever, but they weren't like humanoid.
Almost a little bit like the what the fuck are they? They fight with Tau, but they're basically mind controlled, but they're
Oh,
not
the Vespid?
mind controlled. The Vespids. Yeah, almost
Not that with you, but yes.
yes. Like almost a bit Vespidy.
Yeah. Cool. Cool
Yep, very
Xenos,
cool.
so for sure.
Yeah, they're really, they sound super neat. And so after them, we have the notable servants of Khorne. To follow Khorne is to abandon restraint and embrace the pure, unrelenting fury of war. His path begins not with ambition or scheming, but with bloodshed. The primal truth that might makes right, and only through violence can one truly exist. A warrior who no longer fights for cause, but for the joy of combat. A berserker who drowns doubt and screams in steel. A champion who seeks no glory, only worthy skulls. Each is a vessel for Khorne's wrath. As they offer themselves to his domain, they shed fear, pity, and hesitation. Their bodies become engines of destruction, and their minds honed to a single sacred purpose. Blood for the blood god, skulls for his skull throne. They do not seek peace, they rage against it. They do not plan, they charge. And in the endless carnage, they find purpose not in survival, but in slaughter. In Khorne's name, there is no end, only war, only rage, only the ever-growing mountain of skulls.
Fucking hell, yeah. That's all you need in life is just your own ever-growing mountain of skulls in your backyard.
We're simple creatures.
Yeah. Simple creatures.
Uh,
Court's like dipping his toe into it, or maybe we'll say sinking his teeth into collecting bones and whatever. But those are the first steps.
I don't know if I could be like any sort of Khorne guy. I'm angry enough, but like I just some blood stuff just I can't handle it. I'm like don't want to see that. Nope.
Like really gory slasher movies get to you.
Sometimes I'm not like slasher movie guy in general, but like what did I watch? I watched Old Guard the other day, Netflix's original movie.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that.
Yeah. But it wasn't the bloody stuff. It was just like broken bones and like bone things sticking out, and like her fingers got all jacked up. I was like,
No thanks.
Nope. So maybe the blood stuff's okay. Like I feel like Tarantino's a worshiper of Khorne, and I like Tarantino. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We do have two named people. It's Khorne the Betrayer, but he needs his own episode, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But we can't do that until we do the World Eaters. But just know he's out there.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing things. Kill count.
He's got the kill count,
going.
baby. It's going.
Yeah. And the other one was just another World Eaters, whatever. Rograx, the fucking Bloodhand. Who cares? He's just some guy. Ultimately, he's just out there ganking people like every other World Eater.
We'll be on the World Eaters episode.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, it was a fun episode. We got a couple call-ins we could do. Maybe we'll just do one. Running out of time. Let's go with Grim here. Yo, welcome. I see you got a nice fuck Trudeau poster going on. Very classy.
You know, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you're good now. You're good. So what's making you unreasonably angry today that you just want to go kick a puppy?
I don't think I'm allowed to say it. I really, I'm not gonna say it, but there's a lot of things out there that really piss me off.
Just know that Grimaldus is ready to worship Khorne at the drop of a blood or drop of a hat.
Yeah, he's on the edge for sure, just waiting, just begging. He's showing us Traitorous Legion Codex here. Cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which cult do you think you would have joined if you had the chance? And he spoke to you?
Honestly, Blood Gore. I mean, like, it's the most metal shit out there. If you're gonna play with Khorne, man, like, just be the most maniacal motherfucker, and you're out after for that blood, man.
It's pretty
Gotta
straightforward.
get that blood
Yeah.
gourd.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it is ultimately about Khorne. I think, like, we don't need to get lost in how much blood is the right amount of blood. Is that skull white enough to be collected? Like, it don't matter, man. It's just, let's go take some skulls and blood together. It's easy.
Just stick with the script. Just read the
Yeah,
script.
absolutely.
Kill.
No.
Take skulls. That's it.
Take skulls.
Don't get fancy with it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes a simple mind really makes their way through life.
Yes, it does. It really fucking does.
I love the irony of you saying that, though. Is that a Frank Zappa shirt that you're wearing? You got a Frank Zappa shirt on? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, I was like, it just
Yeah, buddy.
the irony of
I'm
like
glad
a simple
you're
mind,
funny.
but that's so great.
You got that shit.
Yeah, that's so great. Grimaldus, can you remind us what armies you play? I'm always curious, just with what armies guys are playing.
The easier question is, which armies don't I play?
Oh, what's your what's your go-to? Like, what do you focus
Dark
on now?
Elder at this point in time.
Okay, cool.
Nice. Yeah.
How many people have you turned into a
orcs
couch?
or chaos demons? Doesn't matter what legion.
Well,
How many people have I turned into? What? Sorry.
A couch. As a Drakari player, how many couches have you made with the flesh of your enemies?
No, I like that's the one army I don't play.
Oh, you don't. Oh, that's you. Oh, I thought you were saying you're focused on that one. Okay, you don't play Drakari. Okay.
Orcs and Chaos Demons is your go-tos right now. You
No, like everything else, I got models for everything.
Yeah.
Very cool.
The addiction is strong and growing.
Yeah.
Every day, another model is added to its collection. Some say if he stops adding a model a day to his collection, some evil force is going to claim his soul.
Models for the model throne.
Models for the model throne. Fuck yeah.
I mean, when I die, I want all of my models melted down, and that's going to be my casket.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
I think that's doable.
That's
I like
rad.
it.
Noted here, everybody.
Yeah, it's out there now. Okay,
Yep.
This is a legally binding recording now. Lorehammer Legal will go ahead and make sure that's going to happen for you.
Warhammer contains Grimaldus' last will and testament.
We're going to figure out something to do with all that pewter. That's the only thing.
The man wants his plastic to be melted down, turned into a coffin. He wants to be flayed and turned into a couch. And as for the pewter, I'm going to make some teeth out of it.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Make
I was
a
gonna say
killing.
they could be the pawls on the side of your
Oh,
coffin. Would be the pewter.
Yeah. It's all coming together. A Warhammer funeral. Very nice.
So we are now accepting pallbearers.
Yeah.
Sign up in the Discord.
Yeah. We need
Is that
8 for the rule of cool.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, Grim,
for
any
the
other
rule of
thoughts
cool,
there?
We need 8. Yeah, absolutely. And for my fat ass, honestly, boys, just glad to be back and see you guys posting some shit. I was very glad to see Fuzz. This is the first live episode I've seen him being able to do.
Thank you.
And a little bit of catch up on some of the later episodes. Been tardy on it. My attendance has been very poor. So anyone that's listening, join the Patreon, get on here, see the shit live. It's way better.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun just doing it all together. And yeah, you're right, man. Fuzz did a great job the last week. And
Thank you, man.
yeah, definitely. I was just happy that I didn't have to talk about Space Wolves. And then even on the 4th episode, I just did a re-upload. I'm like, fuck this, you can't pay me enough. You can't make me.
Man. Of course, that's the one that I missed. That I was like, "Oh, cool, Space Wolves!" I'm excited to talk about that. But no, I missed it.
Oh man, Dang it. They know that was good. You guys had some great thoughts and feedback. It didn't just degrade into wolf jokes, which probably would have happened if I was on.
The live chat did.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's fun. I was in there though. I was in that live chat. Cool. Well, thanks, Grim, for calling in, and I think that will be the end of the show, pretty much.
Cool.
Adios.
See you, Grim.
All right, and then there were 3.
Yeah.
Not quite the number of Khorne, so we'll make it quick so we don't incur his wrath. Hey, if you like the show, we had a good time doing it. Throw us $1. Support the show if you enjoyed it. I know there's been a couple Patreons. Sometimes I just fucking forget to check my emails and add it. But if you've been joining over the last week or 2, thank you so much for donating your Patreon bucks. We really do appreciate it. If we mention something that you want to buy some gore stalkers so you can go hunt down Abaddon's enemies with or without his permission, go to Merlin's Miniatures. Use promo code Lorehammer. Go shop their website. They'll sell you like official 40K minis. And you can get some discounts and stuff. So go check out Merlin's Miniatures. Also, Lorehammer Listener Lore podcast. I'm still kind of doing that. You know, that podcast will never die. It's immortal. But it's also not active at the same time. So it's a funny thing how that works. But go check out Lorehammer Listener Lore.
It's just lying dormant. It's still lying there.
It's in stasis. That's all.
Yeah. Speaking just briefly of Merlin's Miniatures, I may or may not have spent over an hour of work time on my laptop instead of answering emails. I was on Merlin's Miniatures web store today, and I'm just because right now I'm really gonna start heavily getting into the Middle Earth strategy battle game.
Fuck yes, we gotta talk about that after the show.
I would love to, because like I'm super excited to jump in, and I was like, where can I get that stuff? Because it's like kind of old. Merlin's Miniatures has a ton of shit and even some sealed boxes. And I was like, oh, here we go. So yes, check out Merlin's Miniatures. The promo code Lorehammer, right? Is that what you can use to save some dollarinos?
Honestly, I'm not totally sure how it works. There's one of 2 ways. You can either click the link in the description below, and I think that is technically how you get the 10% off.
Cool.
But if you use the promo code, it just lets people know that Lorehammer kind of sent you that way. And that's beneficial to me as well. So
cool.
Do both.
Well, also, guys, if you're interested in hearing me yammer on about other games and stuff, so role-playing games, card games, we talk Magic, talk D&D, 40K, stuff like that, you got to check out the season 1 of the Funkatronic Rex podcast. Season 1 was where I was hosting with good friends of mine when I was working at a local game store. And season 2, a few friends have taken it over and done a great job. So if you want to hear the debut of Mark on the Funkatronic Rex podcast, he's on episode like 11 or so, I think. But yeah, season 1 of Funkatronic Rex podcast. You can check us out on Apple or Spotify. The host of the most, yourself, me.
Heck yeah. Oh, Cordy boy. Yes. The more we learn about you every episode, the more we like you. That's for sure.
And I got more stuff for Court's Relic Corner, man. Check this out. Old school 40K, like 3rd edition.
Oh,
I'm unraveling. Huge poster.
Oh, that's so cool.
This thing goes on and on, baby. It's got every model. It's like every model range. Every model in the range. I can't even fucking unfold this thing. It's huge. Look at that.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's the old school, like, this is 4th edition, I believe. And it was
all right, let's play some Warhammer bingo on there. If you got the fucking models, check it out.
It's double-sided.
Oh my god.
Wild.
Oh, that is a relic. I love it.
$10 at my local bookstore. Very, very thankful.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Very nice. Speaking of relics, I'm getting the fucking privilege and honor of talking to Rick Priestley on Saturday here. Gonna be wild.
Oh, that's awesome. Wait, again? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, not Rick Priestley. Fucking Jervis Johnson. Sorry, Jervis Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah, Jervis Johnson. Sorry, Rick set me up with him. That's why his name was in my head. But yeah, no, I'm super excited. If you guys have questions, send them in. But I think that's the end of this episode. Been a lot of fun. The next one is a little more sensual. Don't forget to bring your your oils. We're talking Slanish's Cult of Excess. So see you tomorrow. Adios.